kitambo.
I missed you, but nafurahi umekuwa sawa sasa. I missed you too.
Mimi sikuwa na pochi yako. Niwe nao kwa madhumuni gani?
Jiulize wewe.
Kuna mambo yangu ya kibinafsi ambayo siwezi kutuma na mtu. Haswa huyo nyota wako.
De traición.
Leonardo, come on, we don't want to be late.
Hey, what's going on here?
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, man, but I'd prefer if you don't come. It's hard enough as it is.
I'm going with you.
Believe me, it's much better this way.
Leonardo's not protecting Mariela because he sees her as a daughter, but because he's in love with her. He wants her for himself.
Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición entre dudas y una.
A very, very good morning to you. It is the 15th day of February 2022. My name is Jane Wamboi and welcome to Good Morning Kenya. We are glad that you have chosen to start your morning with us right here on KBC Channel 1. We appreciate that you have made the time. As always, we have a beautiful show lined up for you. Matters concerning health, matters politics, matters newspaper, traffic, news, all that goodness will be coming up in not too long. And of course, courtesy of the whole team ambao wako tayari to deliver on each individual's particular areas of specialization. Tukianza na Monday mapa hivi. How are you doing, Victor?
Today I'm in red. Regina said that I responded to the memo I was away.
Uko show kufukuzwa men's camp?
You are away, but you are here.
The chairman is unwell. So.
You are away, but you are here yesterday. In fact, we expected you to be here tomorrow, not this past 2 days.
No. I didn't get the memo. Actually, yeah.
Victor ni wala kusema acha nifike hapa hivi na kam.
That's what happened, literally.
Ukafika hapa hivi.
And here I am. Good morning, Kenyans. We are glad that you're up and early with us each and every morning. It's Tuesday. So much is lined up for you. People in politics, we'll tell you what we'll be talking about later on. You can talk to us from whichever part of the country or even across our borders and tell us where you are watching us from. My name is Victor Olo. Welcome to the show. Doreen.
Now, when it comes to the roads, we have been tracking the progress of the expressway, most especially on areas along Mombasa Road. But what exactly is happening on sections of Waiyaki Way, given the fact that that particular road gets to terminate at James Gishuru, that is along Waiyaki Way? That is what we shall be looking at today, looking at that entire stretch, not forgetting the fact that also areas around Westlands and Parklands had also been earmarked for some construction sometime last year, as well as last year but once. So what exactly has been happening on this particular stretches? That is what we'll be focusing on this morning on the roads. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo. Regina.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes,
Yesterday was Valentine and it was marked world over. Now a report has been made public that financial pressure is affecting romance, especially during this time. If you were within the CBD between 4 and 6 p.m. yesterday evening, there was a lot of traffic. City Market was a particularly busy area. Why? People were buying their loved ones bouquet of flowers, wine, chocolates and such. But this amount of pressure is killing relationships. You know, the need to show up with a gift for your loved one on such a day. Now, because we are the national broadcaster, I'd want to challenge my colleagues in 30 seconds each, starting with Victor, who was missing in action from the conference. This is an opportunity to wish that particular person
I'm not going there, Regina.
Valentine's Day,
no.
and also just a loud message.
No.
And we remember there was a certain letter that you received when you were in high school from Adongo. So we don't know if the Adongo is going to be listening or watching, but this is your 30 seconds of fame as we ease pressure into Valentine's. Then after Victor, we're going to have Lady Jane, then Doreen Okello, then you start off with our news.
No.
Victor, to you.
You know,
Wait, have you had Regina to start off with the news?
Yes,
She has to also be part of this exercise.
I will be part of this exercise.
Yes.
You see, it's a countdown. Victor, go.
You know,
it's a
Valentine's
countdown.
Day.
What's the question again?
A message to your loved one. A message.
Oh, okay.
Message. There's a lot of pressure. People did not get chocolates. They expected some. People didn't get whatever they were expecting. But hey, ni life. Victor, redeem yourself.
Regina, Valentine's was started way back in 175 AD. And it started way back in Roman saint commemorated, you know, the gentleman who wanted people to go to the army and men were forced to go and marry. But apparently the guy was killed. So I'm not celebrating it because he was killed. So I'm not there's nothing to show about love there. He was killed.
I have one message to someone you love. Tafadhali, that's all we are asking. We are counting down the clock.
Regina, let's go to the news.
Aya, Jane, Victor, X. Aya,
Love and light.
Can be even your mom, your sister.
Love
Aya,
and
Jane,
light.
to you.
Love and light. Love and light.
Love and
Light.
love and light. Doreen?
My personal person. To my personal person. He knows.
Huh?
He knows.
Oh, he knows.
Oh, yes.
Okay. My message is that love is found in the trenches. Yeah, Doreen, he knows.
If you
Jane,
know,
love
you
and
know.
light. Victor, news. And
A.
Regina's is love is found in the trenches. Good morning. You're watching KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya. We hope that you had a fantastic day yesterday. We have so much lined up for you, including just having a sample of how Kenyans spent their Valentine's Day, as well as what is happening in the political scene. There was a high-level meeting to just discuss, you know, the elections and seeking an assurance that the August 9 polls are going to be free and fair. That will be coming up in not too long as we focus on the news that are making headlines. Remember, we welcome your feedback. Our official station handle on Twitter is at KBC Channel 1. And if you're not able to actually watch us on TV, how about we go online? The future is digital. We are streaming live on our various social media platforms. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. Now let's get going and bring you up to speed with that. We start off with rather unsettling information where the Kenya Human Rights Commission is calling for a speedy investigation into an alleged sodomy case at Aquinas Boys High School in Nairobi. The rights group says such acts must be condemned in the strongest terms possible and culprits brought to book. Ruth Wamboy has a report.
As a parent with a child in boarding school, are you aware of his or her safety back in school?
So, when I looked at my son, he was very pale. Sijamjua akiwa hivyo. He's jovial. He's a jovial boy.
The government has been asked to listen to the voice of reason and get to the bottom of an alleged beastly act at the Aquinas Boys High School. Kenya Human Rights Commission is demanding justice for a Form 1 student who was allegedly defiled at the school.
We condemn the acts of the police because we saw parents taking to the streets, but that culminated into unlawful arrests of the people who are protesting.
This of defilement is a national problem, which also the government needs to put in place investigative mechanisms to get findings and the recommendation. But
the mother of the 15-year-old Form 1 student claims her son was molested on the 30th of January 2022.
Nikampatia time apumzike because I could tell something was not okay. And then I realized when he was sitting, it's like he was floating. He wouldn't sit as comfortably as I'm seated. It's only that I had my fears as the mother. It's only that it wasn't yet confirmed. So I spoke to him for quite some time, and eventually at around 10:30 p.m., that is when he agreed to open up to me and tell me what happened to him.
According to the mother, her son was sent home for school fees in an elaborate scheme to hide the crime.
On Monday, he took an overdose. He was taken to hospital by fellow students who knew what had happened. The school didn't tell me anything about it. They didn't even tell me to go and pick my son, that he had attempted suicide in school.
But in a quick rejoinder, Aquinas Boys Principal Stephen Gathi said initial internal investigation has shown that there was no proof of the alleged defilement.
Sometimes the easiest story to sell with a student who does not want to be in school, that is the story they carry. Because the parent will buy that one very fast. In the dormitory, there is a cubicle where they sleep, the 15 of them. So over that night, we have gone through the footage of the camera, CCTV. There is a person who sleeps over him because it's a decker. The boy says there was no commotion, there was nothing up to morning. All the members of that cubicle, they are saying they did not hear anything. And that's not something that will happen, and the person does not scream or raise alarm. So the recommendation is that the boy be brought. If he knows the culprit, we pick him. If he doesn't know, then we know the time, so that we can use the other means of investigation.
Well, as a parent, I tend to think we need to be alert, just as that parent has been, and this is just to employ to, school administrations. We as parents bring children to school and expect that they're going to be safe. So if something like that happens, I tend to think there has to be more than just a cover-up. So I too join the bandwagon of saying that let justice be served on the perpetrators of that heinous crime, and let the school also take responsibility if and when it is actually confirmed that that heinous act did happen under their watch. Let someone bear responsibility. Now, still looking at the state of our schools, is that students of Pewani Girls High School in Baringa Central walked 4 kilometers Sunday evening demanding answers following the mysterious death of their colleague. Their counterparts from Sabor Secondary School in Baringa South, meanwhile, sought audience with the County Education Office over persistent water shortage. Here's Kamche Mensa with the details.
It is Monday morning at the Cabernet Stadium in Baringo County. These learners who had trekked 4 kilometers from their schools the previous night meet, but on different missions.
We are in grief with the entire...
A closer look into their faces, a display of sorrow. Students from Pemwai Girls High School say they are here to speak up against alleged negligence.
Even unatuona, we are mourning our dear sister in a painful situation, and someone there caused it.
They accuse the school administration of being insensitive to their welfare.
Mtu anakuja na 450 Pemwai, anatoka na D+. Some parents come and complain, mnashangaa ni nini mbaya? Ni shida tuko nayo huko ndani.
Watoto wenyewe wamesema kulikuwa na negligence kwa sababu walireport kwamba mtoto ni mgonjwa, na wanasema kwamba hakuna hatua ilichukuliwa.
Wanafunzi wanapopeana shida zao, wale ambao wameachiliwa kazi hawachukulii maanane, mpaka tumepoteza a very precious life.
Ministry of Education iweze kuongea na wale counselors ili waweze kucancel hao watoto, sababu they are traumatized. Ukiona watoto, tumekuwa na watoto hapa kuanzia asubuhi na unaona wanalia kilio cha kindani sana.
For the students of Sabor Secondary School, it is the same script but different cast. The learners say their taps are ever dry and their plight appears to have taken a back seat.
How do you put 1,000+ students in a school without water? What do you want them to do? To produce water from where?
Ndio sababu tumekuja kuongea na wao. The rest we are going to do from school. Now our investigation to see whatever they said, if there is any truth in it. But for now there is nothing we can say.
Security agents later escorted the learners back to their respective schools, though relevant authorities remained tight-lipped over the issues.
We'll be keeping tabs on what is happening across our learning institutions. Remember, this year alone, we are expected to have at least 4 national examinations to be conducted. So we'll be keeping tabs on that. Now, crossing over to matters of food security, where the government of Kuwait has donated 40 tons of food aid to be distributed to families in famine-hit areas. Dr. Ismail Hassan, the director of Direct Aid Kenya, who received the donation at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, said the gesture was a clear indication of Kuwait's government's commitment to supporting Kenyans facing starvation as a result of the prolonged drought, mainly in the northern part of the country. Another consignment is expected next week. Last week, the Kuwait government dispatched part of the 340 tons of relief food that was distributed to 6,400 families across the country.
Ni ndege ya pili kutoka Air Force ya Kuwait amekuja kuleta chakula kutoka Kuwait kusaidia wananchi wa Kenya wale wameathirika na ile ukame amekuwa katika nchi yetu baada rais wetu Uhuru Kenyatta kutangaza kama kuna ukame na nchi inataka usaidizi. Ni ndege ya pili kutoka Kuwait Air Force amefika kutoka Kuwait kuleta chakula. Hii chakula ni tende na maziwa. Hizo inafaa sana wanawake wale wako na mimba na watoto wale wanaathirika sana na wazee na wakina mama wale wananyonyesha. Hao ndio hii inawafaa sana, pamoja na maziwa, tende na maziwa pamoja na chakula zingine.
Amid growing concern on whether the next election that is going to be held in August is going to be free and fair, the government has assured development partners of smooth and peaceful transition of power after those polls. Now, speaking at a Nairobi hotel during the meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Government Development Projects and Development Partners, Matiang'i says elaborate plans are in place to ensure relevant instruments of power are handed over to the 5th President of the Republic in a peaceful manner. Speaking, he said that enough security agencies will be mobilized to provide adequate support to the IEBC and the August 9th general elections.
We have given assurances that we will do our part and we will continue to ensure that the country remains peaceful and stable and is prepared effectively for the transition.
We'll be working very closely with Kenya government, with the IEBC and key stakeholders just to put flesh on those bones, the kind of support that we can hope to add to what already is.
Onto the political scene, Deputy President William Ruto has launched what he says the bottom-up economic model conversation in Nyeri. The meeting saw the DP get views from locals and traders on their challenges and expectations, saying that he wants to be held accountable on all his promises.
Deputy President William Ruto was in Nyeri selling his bottom-up economic model. It is here that he took a swipe on ODM leader Raila Odinga for failing to put the government on check while he was in opposition.
mumeshindwa kuendesha upinzani. Upinzani is the easiest thing to run is the opposition. Una criticize, unapiga kelele, nini unaenda nyumbani. Sasa kama nyinyi mmeshindwa kuendesha upinzani, mtajua kweli kuendesha serikali?
Ruto claims that the former premier has let down Kenyans for not pointing out ills in government.
Sasa nyinyi mnatuambia saa hii miaka ndio hiyo karibu inafika huko ikielekea 80, saa hii ndio mtajua kupanga. Hapa nyuma yote hakuna kitu mmepanga mpaka imetimia.
Those who were interviewing their candidate in Safari Park interviewed their candidate to safeguard their own interests, not the people's interests.
The DP calling on Kenyans to make informed decisions while choosing their representatives.
Wananchi ndio deep state, na wananchi ndio wana uwezo ya kuondoa, na wananchi ndio wana uwezo ya maoni yao kusikizwa.
Nyinyi mnataka serikali ambayo ikiingia State House inaongozwa na akina Kamanda, inaongozwa na akina Atuoli, inaongozwa na akina Murathe. Nyinyi mnataka hiyo serikali?
Ruto said that his ambition is to change the dynamics of Kenyan politics to focus on the economy and the interests of Kenyans instead of focusing on leaders.
Kila kiongozi ambaye anapatiwa nafasi ya uongozi lazima atimize yale mambo wamekubaliana na wananchi. Tuko na nafasi ya kutengeneza serikali ambayo tutajenga pamoja na Wakenya wote kutoka chini twende juu.
He promised to help farmers get value for their money by providing readily available market for their goods and deal with cartels and brokers that take advantage of them.
Serikali yetu must provide a mechanism ile mkulima atajua atainvest na ataenda hasara, na bei isiwe ile iko na mabroka na makatel wanakuja hapo katikati wanaibia mkulima, wanaenda wanatengeneza pesa.
In the meeting, the DP signed with the people of Nyeri a document that will form part of his charter.
Nataka tuandikiane kwanza hii mkataba ya miaka 5. Nikifaulu kwa hii miaka 5 muniongezee.
Particular statement from Deputy President William Ruto sent the conversation going, especially on social media platforms. And in this point, I'm referring to Twitter under the hashtag Miakatano2. So if you do not know what it's all about, remember further details are available on our website. And I can also see we are getting in a lot of feedback online. Some of you who are already watching, I'd wanted to mention Diana Ngila, Evans Lagat, Dennis Ondari, Kanyago Githai, Mutahi Korosu says Kenyans need to question what the leaders are saying. We're also having Jim Justice Nyamo who says it cannot be just quite enough sleep already to be a shepherd. Somebody who is bold and who leads. Remember, we are open to your feedback and our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1. Well, if you cannot watch it from the TV set, we are online, we are streaming live. Just to top up about what the Deputy President is going to be doing today. He is going on a tour of all the 47 counties, and is expected to hold conversations with locals to hold his campaign manifesto. Now today he's going to be in Kajiado East at Nguso at 9 a.m. 11 a.m. he's going to be at Kimana, Kajiado South. 3 p.m. he's expected in Kitengela, Kajiado East. We are going to be keeping tabs on that. Now, the Azimio La Umoja campaign has rallied residents of Migori County behind the continuous voter registration exercise. Speaking at various stops over in the region, Raila Odinga's allies pleaded with their supporters to enlist and vote en masse to strengthen Odinga's chances of emerging victorious in the August polls. Achola Simon with the details.
Azimio La Umoja team continue to traverse various parts of the country to woo Kenyans to vote for Raila Odinga in the August general election.
Ikifika tarehe 9, utaingia nyumba kwa nyumba, dirisha kwa dirisha, mlango kwa mlango, boma kwa boma, shamba kwa shamba, sipitali kwa sipitali, soko kwa soko. Watu wote watoke wapigie kura Raila Amolo Odinga.
The team pitching camp in Migori County, where they made several stopovers before holding a major rally in Migori town.
Kama mtu hakuweza kazi akiwa deputy president, sahi kweli ataweza kazi ya kuwa rais?
The leaders called on the locals to register as voters, but more importantly, come out and cast those votes in August. The leaders defended the president's recent remarks that, like any other Kenyan, he has a right to vote for his candidate of choice.
Raila Amolo Odinga hata peke yake alikuwa na 50% of the people of Kenya. Na sasa wakiongeza na kura ya Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, atakuwa president ama hatakuwa president.
Tusidanganyane, sisi tunahitaji support ya rais na tunahitaji support ya watu yake. Rais alichaguliwa na watu 8,000,000. Tunataka hiyo 8,000,000 arudishe upande Raila Amolo Odinga.
Wiki ijayo watu wote wa Mount Kenya tutakutana na mdosi wetu ambaye anaitwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, na tunajua kwamba atatuelekeza kwa Raila Amolo Odinga.
The leaders also hit out at the Kenya Kwanza Alliance and its bottom-up economic model, downplaying its ability to inspire Kenyans' economic renaissance.
Uchumi wa Kenya haiwezi kuletwa juu kwa kulenga tu sekta moja peke yake ya hiyo uchumi. Kama unataka kusaidia mama mboga, kama unataka kusaidia vijana, lazima ulete walimu juu, lazima ulete civil servants juu, lazima ulete wafanyabiashara juu, ndio kila mtu pamoja tukuje juu pamoja.
The continuous voter exercise is currently underway at various Huduma centers spread across the 290 constituencies. So if you missed phase 1 and phase 2 of the IEBC mass voter registration, well, that's an opportunity for you to actually check your details and also register. Remember that IEBC missed its target of 4.5 million in the second phase and only managed 1 million. So the exercise is ongoing. Now let's cross over to matters of broadcast and entertainment, where the Kenya Film and Classification Board has banned Badidu film from exhibition, distribution, possession and broadcasting within the country's borders over claims of propagating same-sex marriage agenda as an acceptable way of life. KFCB's acting CEO Christopher Wambua says the 147-minute film of Indian origin that was submitted for classification in February this year showed multiple scenes of lesbians and gay affection, which is in complete disregard of the country's cultural values and beliefs.
The Kenya Film Classification Board pronounced the 147-minute film as unsuitable for consumption within the country's borders, as it contradicts Section 162, 163 and 165 of the Penal Code, which criminalizes homosexual behavior.
Claims in the movie such as love is love, I am okay with my son being gay, gay people can adopt, among others, as portrayed in the film, fly in the face of our laws and values. While adults have a right to choose what they consume within the parameters of the law, children and other vulnerable segments of society are at the risk of being corrupted by content of this nature.
KFCB acting CEO Christopher Wambua says after careful examinations both internally and externally, the film has been noted to have an obvious attempt to promote the same-sex marriage agenda.
The board remains vigilant to ensure that films exhibited in Kenya promote our cultural values, including preserving the institution of the family. The board shall remain vigilant in monitoring film and broadcast content shared on social media platforms and other broadcast channels in line with our regulatory mandate.
The board further noted an increase in audiovisual content that seeks to promote and normalize gay themes and ideologies, to which they said affirmative action will be taken. Parents, guardians and caregivers have been called upon to remain vigilant and monitor what their children are consuming and guard them properly.
Crossing over to matters business, where the Central Bank of Kenya is forecasting a decline in non-performing loans in the trade and personal and household sectors in Q1 of 2022. The CBK notes that this would be as a result of continued recovery of the economy, but the demand for credit in other sectors will remain unchanged.
In the final quarter of 2021, credit demand in the trade, personal and household and manufacturing sectors was on a steady rise. The Central Bank quarterly credit survey shows that the trade and household sector credit demand is set to decline within this quarter, with the demand in the manufacturing sector remaining unchanged. Banks expect to intensify their credit recovery efforts in 9 economic sectors, except for the mining and quarrying and energy and water sectors. The intensified recovery efforts, the banks say, are aimed at improving the overall quality of the asset portfolio. The main sectors that banks intend to intensify credit recovery efforts in order to enhance reduction of NPLs, therefore improving the overall quality of their asset portfolio, are the personal and household sector at 84% and the trade sector at 81%. The portfolio of unserviced credit in the tourism, restaurant and hotels remains high at 82%. CBK quips the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic will continue to linger till the fourth quarter of the fiscal year 2022-2023.
Then I'm sure that you have seen a change at the fuel pump, and no change actually, not that there's a change, well, reprieve for motorists as fuel prices remain unchanged. This has been the case where, EPRA is utilizing, or rather government is utilizing the levy, the subsidies, petroleum subsidy levy there to cushion Kenyans from high cost of fuel and fuel products. We're going to be keeping tabs on so much and on such stories and how then they'll affect, especially how we're conducting business and as well as public transport. Now we cross over to Mombasa for the sports, where Caroline Mokoya posted 25 stable forward points to emerge the lady winner of the Mombasa Golf Club Lady Captain Prize at the Seafront Course in Mombasa County. Mokoya beat Fiona Mbadi, who took the runners-up prize by 4 points difference in the event that attracted 150 golfers, among them the Kenya Lady Golf Union chairlady, Sarah Hoare. The event was organized in honor of the club's lady captain Gladys Cassis. Ken Kimundi on 38 points was the men's winner, with Alois Ogola settling for a second position on 36 points. Nyali Golf Club's Mary Kandu returned 18 points to claim the lady guest prize, while Mwai Mariga on 28 points and Harrison Kaur with 24 points won the male and lady junior winners respectively. Now from golf to badminton, where officials and players are calling upon the Ministry of Sports to chip in and help the Kenyan Federation in overcoming the current alleged wrangle so as to help revive the game. This comes after protests by players and coaches after the World Badminton Federation suspended Kenya from taking part in international competitions. Kenya badminton team captain John Wanyoike stated that the national badminton team had begun the journey to qualifying for the 2022 Commonwealth Games. However, the country was suspended. He has called on the ministry to intervene and rescue the current situation.
It is the players who are suffering now. As players, this is our way of life. This is how we survive. We have families and they depend on us. This is the only thing that we are sure it can pay our bills, because it is what we do. It is what we've been doing for many, many years.
Before we put things, or rather this matter of the news to a close, just an update for soccer fans. Well, the Champions League round of 16, that's where we are. So tonight at 11 p.m, we're going to have PSG taking on Real Madrid, while Sporting CP is going to be facing, or rather squaring it out with Man City at the same time, 11 p.m. tonight. talking about the EPL, Manchester United, my team, Viva, is going to be taking on Brighton. But haters of Manchester United will claim that either Manchester United is to lose or even draw. But hey, what do we say? Kelele za chura hazimzui ng'ombe kunywa maji. It's a wrap. Remember, further details are available on our website. That is www.kbc.co.ke. For now, we take a quick breather. When we're back, we're going to be sampling the various dailies that we have with us in studio. Do not go away.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Na kuona wewe una siri moyoni mwako.
You know very well, kila mtu ushika na mashida at some point.
Umemalizana na bill?
Shalipa. Kitambo.
I missed you, but nafurahi umekuwa sawa sasa. I missed you too.
Mimi sikuwa na pochi yako. Niwe nao kwa madhumuni gani?
Jiulize wewe. Kuna mambo yangu ya kibinafsi ambayo siwezi kutuma na mtu. Haswa huyo nyota wako.
De traición.
Leonardo, come on, we don't want to be late.
Hey, what's going on here?
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, Maria, but I'd prefer if you don't come. It's hard enough as it is.
I'm going with you.
Believe me, it's much better this way.
Leonardo's not protecting Mariela because he sees her as a daughter, but because he's in love with her. He wants her for himself.
Lying heart.
Keep abreast of the developments live from the National Assembly and the Senate.
On our members of parliament.
The questions.
When is the construction expected to commence?
The motions.
Beg to give notice for the following motion.
The debate.
Will as many as want to say aye?
The statements.
A statement on an issue of general topical concern.
The petitions.
Order number 4. Petitions.
Stay tuned to KBC Channel 1 and Radio Taifa for live proceedings from both houses of parliament from Tuesday to Thursday. Live, uncensored, unedited. KBC, your national broadcaster.
All right, let's keep this train going. This is still in the headlines. We now get to have a quick look at what the papers have for us today. The main read today on the front page of the Daily Nation, making of a messy, loud
divorce. Actually, making of a loud, messy divorce. This is the story between, it's an exclusive of, how the fallout between His Excellency President Kenyatta and Deputy President came to be, from the account of Aidan Kainan, who is the Secretary of the Jubilee Coalition Joint Parliamentary Group. That story has been covered in great detail on this particular daily. We'll be looking at the details in not too long. The other story here on the header, still politics, still the different presidential aspirants campaigning. The campaign trail continues. On the 2022 campaign trail is the heading right there, with Azimio led by Governor Hassan Joho comes in Migori as the DP William Ruto takes Kenya Kwanza, the vote hunt to Nyeri. The campaign trails do continue. The other piece here is in regards to the story of one gentleman who died in search of ICU treatment from Tana River, as it has emerged that Tana River County does not have ICU facilities, in as much as the county has received over 38 million Kenya shillings as part of the COVID-19 funds that were supposed to be directed towards the construction of ICU facilities in every county. So that story has been covered here. I'll be giving you the particulars of that particular story, and what happened and what people have had to say about that particular story. The other story is in regards to education. Magoha saying there is no extra cash for CBC classroom for the contractors, because some contractors have been asking the government to pay them 1.26 million Kenya shillings per classroom. All right, 1.26 million Kenya shillings per classroom, citing the high costs of construction that come along with the requirements of this particular CBC tailored classrooms. And finally, the registrar blows whistle for party primaries. Political parties have until the 26th of March to submit the names of their members for the nomination process, and notes new advisory by the registrar of political parties. That is how the front page is looking like. More details will be coming up in a bit. Victor.
And on the front page of the Star newspaper, doctor's blunder left my daughter blind, says Raila. Doctor's blunder left my daughter blind. Excuse me. The family has flown her to hospitals in Germany, South Africa, Israel, India, and China, but none has restored her vision. So it said that in 2017, there was a brain tumor surgery which was done, which actually ruined Rosemary's sight. So Raila Odinga, his wife, Ida Odinga, and Rosemary are still in India for that treatment. On the second page here, Statutory likely killed by Kiambu forest grabber. The report by the National Security Panel states that Statutory may have been killed by illegal forest occupier who actually constructed a road through riparian land to gain access to his property. Preliminary investigations report by DCI George Kinoti also revealed that Statutory might have been killed by Kiambu forest land grabbers. That happened on July 15th last year. That is 2020, yes. PS Korir faced to appear in court, blames COVID-19. The officials accused of beating and injuring his estranged pregnant wife. The case, he was supposed to appear on March 1st, but after he was scheduled, appearance was postponed after he had contracted COVID-19. Korir was to appear in court on Monday to plead to charges of assaulting his estranged and pregnant wife, Evelyn Koech, in 2020. Cases of gender-based violence. Ruto, I will only want one term if I fail to keep my promises. It has also been established that Ruto will announce his running mate and release his manifesto sometimes late next month. It was also established that DP's camp will at the end of March hold a national delegates convention for his United Democratic Alliance, or to officially launch his manifesto, and that is the same time that will also tentatively, the meeting is tentatively scheduled for between March 26th and April 1st, where he will unveil his manifesto as well as his running mate. And that story of Raila Odinga there, he said that The former Prime Minister said that his daughter had developed brain hemorrhage, and was taken to hospital for surgery. That's a story that is fully captured on page 5 of the Star newspaper. And finally, on sports, FIFA cage Ingwe, fresh trouble as Leopards as new club signings are rejected. AFC Leopards' burning urge to boost their squad has been dealt a heavy blow after a letter written by the former player to the World Football Governing Body FIFA scuttled their plans to acquire new signings. Ingwe is also struggling to keep afloat in the Kenya Premier League. And finally, perfect example, Bitok, who is now the national women's volleyball team, says that counties should emulate what the ladies are doing and support volleyball in the country. And of course, Malkia strikers have been doing perfectly well over the years in the women's volleyball team. That's what's on the Star newspaper. Doreen?
All right, we are ready to facilitate IEBC to conduct elections. This story also made its way this morning on the GMK news briefs, where this CS Matiang'i mentioned that as of yesterday, he mentioned actually there's adequate security arrangements have been made to ensure elections are going to be held peacefully and they'll actually be free and fair elections. And also storm over Wanga endorsement at Azimio rally, where a section of political leaders in Homa Bay County have now criticized aspirants taking advantage of Azimio La Umoja rallies to either popularize their bid or using this meetings as campaign platforms. And obviously this came after that particular endorsement that happened over the weekend. This is after Gladys Wanga mentioned that she will be vying for that gubernatorial position in Homa Bay County. So most of these leaders are saying that these meetings leaders need to ensure that in these meetings they popularize Raila Odinga's bid as opposed to their own. And also again, Wamboi mentioned that particular story on what really happened between the president and the DP. And again, there's been a lot of questions and Kenyans really wanting to know what exactly happened between the duo. Again, also as of yesterday, religious leaders were mentioning that it is very important, especially during this election time, that they mend their differences. And again, it's not as good to the public eye with the kind of differences that they've been having. But now, as it goes, the president is actually going to go ahead and spill the beans of what exactly happened between the two of them. So most of these questions that Kenyans had been asking, perhaps this is that time whereby you'll get to find out exactly what happened between the president and the DP. To some education matters, yes, as Magoha says that there's no more funds to be allocated for the construction of these classrooms. Also yesterday, while inspecting how this construction process has been coming along, this is in Parkland's area, he also set the deadline for the completion of the construction of these classrooms. Remember that phase 1 was expected to end by March 7th. This is actually the next month before KCP exam begins, as well as KCSE. And even at that, he went ahead to mention areas whereby they have met some challenges as they continue with this construction process, areas of Baringo and Lamu. But even at that, at least they are at 66% completion of this classroom. So obviously just showing that perhaps by March 7th, they might have completed with that phase 1 that they had been talking about. And lastly, Egerton back to learning in wake of crisis. Remember that this particular strike has lasted a period of 3 months, and the major issue that these lecturers were citing was the issue of finances. So as it stands, as of yesterday, a good number of them went back to teaching. However, lecturers through WASU leaders have maintained that they would continue with that strike. So when we get the details, I'll be telling you why this side or this particular set of lecturers are continuing with their strike, even as some have already gone back to class. Regina.
I have a copy of the Standard this morning, being the 15th of February 2022. From the front page, it talks about that story that we have already highlighted on our bulletin, and that regards to, an envoy's warning on free elections and government coming out to assure them that, security will be beefed up. And the person speaking there in that high delegation meeting was none other than Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i, who assured that security will be beefed up and also they will facilitate the IEBC to conduct the elections. Some of the persons who are attending this high-level meeting include Ukur Yatani, who is a national Treasury CS, he assured the envoys that the economy was rebounding and GDP will grow by 7.5% in the first quarter. Remember, the World Bank has already revised the growth of Kenya's economy to 5.9%. So that might be, actually, we're biting too much to chew. But then there's a question, is this the real GDP? Those who do financial reporting, they understand exactly what you're saying when you say real GDP growth and the projections, so to speak. Another person who was in that particular special meeting is Joe Mushero. He's the ICT CS, and his stand was that government will respect media space and ensure the internet will not shut down during elections. Remember, the issue of freedom of speech and expression and also broadcast has been an issue that has been not only been tackling only in also social media platforms, but also we saw what happened during the elections in our neighboring Uganda there, where they were out of the internet for some time. So an assurance that broadcast rights are not going to be infringed on come August 9th. And this is not something that has ever happened in our history as far as the country is concerned. Some of the envoys who are in this meeting include Alain Coursta-Menger, who is a French envoy. She said that they were keen to see how the government is planning to ensure the continuity after the polls. And this is a question about a peaceful transition of power. Then also Jane Mario, who the UK High Commissioner sought assurance of foreign investment would be negatively affected by poll activities. Remember the post-election violence of 2007-2008. Things went at a standstill, so to speak. Businesses went under. FDI was not coming through because of the unstable situation we found ourselves in. And I think these envoys were just putting the queries on areas that they have invested in so that to know, are they going to adapt the wait and watch, as we have heard from various quarters, including the real estate experts who have come out and say that, you know, in as much as Kenya is keen on rebounding after COVID-19, the situation of the elections, you know, being the general elections that are going to be held in August, they are seeing a slight shift to a wait and see in as far as investments are concerned. Remember, the issue of risk, you're supposed to be taking a calculated risk if you are investing. So the uncertainty around the elections is not just affecting, you know, us as Wanjiko, so to speak, but also persons who are eyeing Kenya as an investment destination and those who already have investments within the country. But the government has come out to say, you know what? We are ready. It is going to be peaceful and transparent, and there's going to be a smooth transition of power after the August 9th polls. Nothing to worry about. Those are affirmations, or rather words of affirmation, by rather than Fred Matiang'i, the Interior Cabinet Secretary. That's the front page, and that's a big read on the front page of this particular issue. Matters of politics also get a space or a slot here, with Ngilu opining, this is her opinion and statement, saying that Ukambani people want to be in the next government and that the Wiper leader cannot win the presidency, therefore he has to join the winning team. Your guess is as good as mine. He's talking about, you know, joining Azimio. But will he? Is it? Remember, this is a political season. You take a few statements with a tinge of salt and wait and see. At the end of the day, you and I as Wanjiko are the ones who are going to determine which way. So reprieve for motorists as fuel prices remain unchanged. This also has found itself on the front page. On matters business, government continuing to use the levy subsidy and cushioning Kenyans from the high cost of fuel. Remember, the global prices are changing. Mubane, they're going up, as well as Brent. Also in the counties, the family is still in agony as the dead miner is still trapped. Remember what happened in the mine collapse in Migori there. There are details that have been fleshed out for you on this particular issue of the paper. Then also a piece here about the ailing health sector that hurts patients. This is barely a week after the president launched the universal health care in Mombasa, and every person who is above 18 is required to enlist on NHIF. And these deductions can actually be made through M-Pesa, or rather mobile money transfer. Egerton, reopening under 6.1 billion debt. This is another story that has also found itself on the front page. Universities VC says the money they received from the government is hardly enough to pay salaries and their outstanding financial obligations, and the broke institution cannot meet. Then on national matters, yesterday was Valentine's Day, so there's a piece here that says Valentine pressure, the killer of romance. Now research shows that lovers are under pressure to spend a lot of money on gifts, thus straining relationships. Indeed, many relationships break just before or after Valentine's Day. Where do you fall? Where do you fall? Did it break before or after? Well, our Twitter handle is open to your feedback in regard to what we have captured for you and also what is available on our website. That is at KBC Channel 1 News. I'm also on Twitter at Ray Manyera. Before we bring the newspaper review to a close, maybe Victor, something to add on your end?
Yeah, still on politics. I want to drop my presidential bid. Okay, that's according to Muranga Governor Mwangi wa Iria.
Oh, we thought you were the one.
Yes, I want to drop my presidential bid, says Muranga Governor Mwangi wa Iria. He says that most of his political opponents have been uncomfortable with his bid, and they have resulted in creating propaganda to mislead his followers. But that is the name of the game in politics. So he's still adamant that he'll go for it. Next crop of MPs could enjoy 300 million CDF cash annually. A key committee has approved a bill increasing allocation to 5%. Currently, the minimum share is at 2.5% of the national government share of revenue, as stated in the Division of Revenue Act for a given financial year. So if that bill is passed, then MPs will get 300 million shillings CDF cash annually. DCI cops deny robbery with violence charges. They are alleged to have robbed Odembo armed with an AK-47. The three, Anthony Mwanza, Cornelius Wambua, Tom Omondi Otieno, and Kennedy Odero, pleaded not guilty. It is alleged that on February 6th at 1:45 p.m., that is in broad daylight, at Next Gen Mall along Mombasa Road in Langata, armed with an AK-47 rifles and 2 Seska pistols, they robbed Vincent Odembo of 2,400 shillings and 40,000 bob and used actual violence on him. So they pleaded not guilty to the charges. They were released on a cash bail on a bond of 500,000 shillings or an alternative bail of 300,000 and 2 contact persons. That is as far as that is concerned. So you talk of Valentine's. Vendors, hotels and SMEs reap from Valentine's Day spending. Chocolates, wines and flowers remained the dominant gift, traders say. When you talk of chocolate, there is some rumor there's a gentleman who splashed 10 million bob and bought a car.
Not just one, quite a few. People were putting up billboards, gifting others motor vehicles. Wengine walikuwa wanajiuliza kama hao ni ua la waridi ama dawa ya baridi. Wengine wanapewa gifts here and there. Kama hukupewa story, unakula tu story mdogo mdogo.
Someone said there's no romance without finance. This is why we're using their money. But it is true,
people did really spend yesterday.
Yes, I think people missed that period because you remember Corona just hit us below the belt badly. So I think it was that day people were looking forward to. Whichever way you spent it, you celebrated it, it's still okay. Based on your ability, there's no pressure.
Regina ameuliza wewe ni mnaachananga which time, before or after?
You know, the pressure is real, actually. It is.
Very real.
It is. If you hear David Beckham has actually
only here in Nairobi.
910.
Yeah.
You think so? Only in Nairobi? I mean, if you see people putting up billboards.
Go to Mashinani. Life is normal.
Actually, I saw a billboard that was trending on social media, and this
quite a few.
Wife. Someone's wife put them
husband
on a billboard. Victor,
yes.
Put them on a billboard. Wacha watu wajue na kupenda. Goals, man. Goals.
That is called public pronouncement.
Oh, yes.
I would also do the same, by the way. Why not? If someone loves you right, why not?
The double-decker road is here just behind us. You
Wacha
put it somewhere.
Enda weke hapo kwa Billboard. Wacha iishe expressway. Nitawanikia hapo. Wewe ni wa kutangaza, lazima watu wajue. You know, if you've been loved right, what is there to hide? You will see my glow, you will see my laugh. No pressure. Iko tu sawa. So kama it's a billboard I want to do, I'll do it. And actually, that particular billboard was set up in Tanzania, Victor. It was in Tanzania. Billboard mzima. The wife invested in a billboard, akaeka picha ya bwana, just hapo kwa barabara. Public way.
Kuna mwingine aliweka picha ya girlfriend, akasema happy Valentine's my momo. And not Momo the way you think, like it's a short from for Maureen or something like that. Uwala waridi.
Wenye ni dawa ya baridi wanajijua on one side. Mimi nimewaambia watu walisema hakuna mapenzi bila shilingi. No romance,
and roses that were scattered all over. And also there were guys who were just, there was a tout, I don't know if you guys saw that video, there was a tout who was just giving ladies, random ladies, flowers and teddy bears, just random gifts to celebrate them. And then also there's been this guy on social media, he just goes to the market, random places, finds Nduthi guys, finds Mama Mboga, starts dancing for them, alafu anazunguka hivi anawapea kama ua. Kuna mwenye alipewa maua akasink.
But see also, I think that is actually the whole idea of Valentine's. Only that we have like boxed it, ni like the man and the woman, husband, wife, girlfriend, whatever. But it's just showing love to people that you love. Could even be your mother, could
I
be your
agree
father,
with you.
anyone. So the pressure inakuanga so much because you only think kama sina mtu guy.
It's a lover. There's the mentality. It's a lover's day.
It's not.
It's actually just like a mentality.
Jen, I know you received a gift from your daughter. Tell us about it.
Yes, I did. Kama uko na mtoto wako CBC, I'm sure you also did receive this. They make cards from scratch, by the way. In school, they make the cards. They draw the little love hearts. Wanaandika hapo their message to you. Wanakuletea nyumbani na karoz. It was beautiful.
That is it. It's all about love. And yesterday, I told you that love is everything. We may talk about money and everything, but you spend on people you love, right?
Absolutely.
So love is everything. You have to actually value that person for you to spend in them. Then I saw something on social media, and I'm going to say it as is.
Usichome lakini.
Kama akuongeleshi kizungu akupendi. Kama akuongeleshi kizungu akupendi.
Really?
No, I'm like, okay, hold up. What is your love language? How do you communicate? When did English become a thing?
Sasa watu wenye wanaongea Sheng na Kiswahili hawapendani.
My question. That's my question exactly. So someone was just saying, kama akuongeleshi kizungu akupendi. Then I remember when we were growing up, there were people who used to speak in a certain twang. You know, those ones appeared as if they had made it in life. You with your heavy Kimeru accent and such, watuambas, you feel somewhat left out. So I think this is a moment, Valentine is a moment where people get to share the funny, the good, you know, making fun about the situations they find themselves. So huyu mwenye anasema kama kuongeleshi kizungu akupendi.
But also there's a way English that
St. Valentine was a Roman. St. Valentine was a Roman.
I think maybe venye naelewa Victor, ni lugha ya mtaa. That there's a way you approach a certain girl. Kama ni girl, kama Jane, unaenda na kizungu yako yote.
But you know,
kama ni Regina wa kutoka huko diaspora unaenda na Kiswahili na Sheng. No?
Regina
mgani. But looking as we bring this segment to a close, looking at how relationships start, watu nakuanga formal, tunaongea kizungu, Kiswahili sanifu, 3 years down the line.
But let me tell you, there's a way English slaps when you're speaking to your person. There's just a way. Kuna wale wenye maintain,
with your person. Well, basi hamjafika ile level, comfortable level. You are my ride till the end.
Yeah.
Ride or die.
Miss Okello is speaking from experience.
But she's still in love. And we hope it stays that way.
Thank you. Hallelujah.
Mama nani?
Na ukinikasirisha unalala kwa couch na kufungia nje.
Ama unaweka pasi moto, unachukua pasi unaweka kwa socket alafu unaweka katikati yenu.
Jaribu kucross hii line.
Yeah, unachomeka.
Draw an imaginary
Speaking from experience, iko anajua mtachomeka
nyumbani. There's no experience. That's just a statement.
Speaking of iron box, when it gets very cold, you iron the bed alafu unatoa socket unaingia before kakue baridi.
Okay.
Remember the experience huku. What you got experience?
Okay.
What?
Okay.
None of you have ever done that?
Nah.
Ironing your bed?
No.
When it's really cold?
No.
Okay.
At ukiwa campus?
No, why would I be ironing bedsheets?
Aya. Why do I kukiwa na kabaridi?
I'm very
beddings.
You're my neighbor and I'm worried about you.
Personally, I am one of those people who can't sleep with cold feet. Nitakuwa wakeridho vibaya. Wakeridho vibaya. You guys remember that cold season a while back?
Yes.
Yes.
But Jane, we need to talk away from the camera. We need to talk.
No, I will keep ironing my bed.
The bed sheets.
No, the bed sheets, yes. To just jumpstart the warmth process.
Sasa inahitaji wewe upatiwe mtu. Wachana ku iron bed sheets.
Mimi niko na better idea. We go buy
ITH.
Duvets and socks. They will help.
They're there.
Mimi niko na even
a
more better idea. Off camera, Jane.
Basi ni sawa. I'll keep ironing my bed. That brings us to a close of ITH. Thank you so much for being with us this far. We have so much more lined up for you, so do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Goodness. You scared me. Auntie!
I know you wouldn't say anything to your parents. You'd rather keep it from them, pretending to be happy.
What kind of attitude is that? I must have been insane to let my sister marry you. Sure! Oh.
You think you can bully my son, huh? In your dreams. Go back to your parents and never come back!
Are you gonna spend the rest of your life with that boring woman just to maintain your reputation? If you ever miss me, come find me.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
Leonardo, come on, we don't want to be late.
Hey, what's going on here?
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, Maria, but I'd prefer if you don't come. It's hard enough as it is.
I'm going with you.
Believe me, it's much better this way.
Leonardo's not protecting Mariela because he sees her as a daughter, but because he's in love with her. He wants her for himself.
Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición entre dudas y una.
again, before we start on with the day's conversation, time for us to look at how the roads are looking like. Our focus this Tuesday being on how Waiyaki Way is actually doing in terms of traffic, given the fact that it is also one of those areas where the expressway is cutting through, and perhaps you can begin from where it will terminate at. This is the James Gishuru Road. Remember that particular expressway begins from Lolongo area in Mombasa Road, going all through that entire section up until sections of Bunyala Road, Uhuru Highway, up until Waiyaki Way past Westlands, till this particular place. This is James Gishuru Road. This is where it gets to terminate at. This is how the area is looking like this morning. Heavy kind of traffic, especially as you leave areas of Kikuyu, Kinoo, coming to the city center, areas of Lavington as well. This is all the way from this particular stretch. That is James Gishuru. Just on that intersection there, as you head over to the city center, that is where we are really witnessing that heavy kind of traffic. And the sad part is that this is actually on both lanes of this particular road, and this is part of what necessitated that expressway to ease traffic congestion, especially on this stretch, given the fact that it is one of those busy roads. In fact, Waiyaki Way is termed as a commercial center, commercial area, one of those commercial roads, given the fact that of those activities that I'm talking about, in terms of companies, industries around this area, looking at how Westlands is also looking like that entire stretch, and that is also part of what necessitated that construction of that particular road in just around that stretch, because of those kind of businesses, not forgetting the fact that it is also a residential area. So that is also why it was necessary, and it still is necessary for the expansion to take place, as well as the entire expressway. But coming back the traffic flow, this is how it is looking like. Nothing is changing at all. Still heavy kind of traffic witnessed on both lanes of this road. And unlike most roads here in the city, oftentimes you'd really be seeing heavy kind of traffic, particular on lanes that are leaving the estates coming to the city center. Well, that is still the same case on this one, but even at that, as you leave CBD coming still through Waiyaki Way, in fact on that particular stretch is where there's even heavier traffic, and again it's just because of those reasons that I'm telling you, that it's a commercial center. So again, obviously a lot of activities, companies, businesses, industries along this area, and that is also what really prompted that expansion as well as the expressway altogether. But looks like things are opening up just a bit as you leave James Gishuru Road, coming still through Waiyaki Way on that entire section, coming all the way, cutting through those different sections just before you get to the Westlands roundabout. In fact, slightly away from James Gishuru up until sections of Westlands, moving at a swift pace, but traffic again begins to build up, heavy kind of traffic around the roundabout. But just again, as I mentioned to you earlier, the reason is still the same. This is how the roundabout is looking like. Obviously, again, one of those busy roundabouts gets to branch off through to Waiyaki Way, sections of Raptor Road. Those are some of those slip roads away from the Westlands roundabout, as well as areas of Parklands, heading over to sections of Ojijo Road as well. So clearly this makes it one of those busy roundabouts, and this is why oftentimes you'd be experiencing heavy kind of traffic, especially in this early morning hour, and that's basically also what we are seeing this morning. But away from the roundabout, still sticking through Waiyaki Way before you get to the University Way roundabout, given the fact that that particular road, which is Waiyaki Way, gets to terminate at the University Way roundabout, away from the Westlands roundabout, coming through areas of Consolata, on that particular section, at least on that area, no traffic at all, moving at a very swift pace. So again, if you're leaving areas of Kikuyu, Kinoo, Parklands, Westlands, Uthiru, perhaps coming to the city center, or even the outskirts of Nairobi, perhaps counties of Nyanza Western, then around those areas that I've mentioned is where you'll have to make do with the heavy traffic. But alternatively, you can perhaps use Kipande Road again if you really do not want to make do with that heavy traffic on the stretch between University Way roundabout there and sections of Kenyatta Avenue, knowing fully well that there's a section there which has also been closed a bit, again, just because of that expressway construction. So you can use Kipani Road as your alternative route. This is as you are getting to the city center, but ultimately altogether still on that section, as you leave areas of State House Road, still coming through the sections of Wayaki Way, moving at a swift pace on that entire section. But just before we get to wrap it up for this fast traffic link, look at that. This is again the Westlands roundabout, changed right this very second, particular as you head over to the estates. There's still heavy kind of traffic being witnessed. In fact, right now moving at a very, very slow pace, and the same is also being witnessed as you come to the city center. This is why I was giving Kipani Road as one of your alternative routes there. So clearly, again, obviously this will remain a key road perhaps area of focus up until we get to see the expressway complete in terms of construction, given the fact that it gets to terminate at James Gishuru Road. And obviously this is perhaps what is leading to that heavy kind of traffic that we're seeing here and there, especially in sections of Wayaki Way as well as areas around Westlands. But that is how it is looking like this morning in terms of traffic along Wayaki Way.
Welcome back. It's now time for People and Politics, and today we want to focus more on the ladies. And I have a lady in studio who is vying for a position of woman representative in Machakos County. I'm talking about CPA Annabel N. Ndilo. She is a Kenya certified accountant, economic analyst, a financial analyst. She is a tax expert, a commentator, auditor, and a political analyst as well. Welcome to the show, Annabel.
Oh, thank you so much.
You have so many titles in one head. Too many hats to wear.
Okay, all of those positions are mine.
Yes.
All of the titles are mine. Yeah, because I am a scholar.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're a scholar. That sounds interesting because I look at you as a certified accountant, economic analyst, a financial analyst. All these things in one head, and you want to quit a lucrative job, you want to get into politics.
Yeah.
Why?
Just because I have a call to serve the people of Machakos.
Just that?
Yeah.
That's not just enough. A call to serve people of Machakos.
And Kenya at a whole large. Okay, despite me being in politics, I'm not quitting my profession since I've said I'm a scholar. I value education. I know education is the key to success. So being in politics, vying for the position of women rep in Machakos doesn't mean I am going to quit my profession and maybe devalue education. But I want to add something above that.
Yeah. We'll come to that a bit later on, but let's talk about the issue of the economy of our country. As an economic expert, where are we as a nation currently?
Yeah, as a nation of Kenya, as you know, we have a high level of debt in Kenya. Okay, our GDP level is very low. The SMEs that are currently in Kenya are not able to contribute to a higher percentage. Like it has been before. 40% of the GDP in Kenya has been contributed by the small, medium enterprises, and we are not able to run as a country to be in an economic stabilized rate. As per now, as the economy and data analyst of Kenya, the economics data shows that at Kenya we are at a very low level of economy.
So as a country, we are still struggling to keep afloat?
Yeah, we're still struggling, but we hope as time unfolds, things shall come to a fall.
When you look at, what's your projection in terms of where we as a nation, how are we going to pick up? Because when you look at how the pandemic affected us, most people lost their jobs, most of the SMEs also collapsed. How are we going to pick up from your own projection?
From my own projection, at least we're thanking God since corona level has gone down. But we're hoping as time unfolds, we shall be able maybe to generate and flow and maybe uplift the people at the low to wake up a bottom, at least our economy keep going. But what are we going to do about that.
That is a big question.
Yeah. So maybe through my analytics and research, we can uplift the SMEs, and maybe we create or come up with ways to create our own employment. Especially now, above 20,000 students, university students, are graduating each year, and here outside there are no jobs. So what are we going to do to curb unemployment in Kenya? So we must be thinking of maybe coming up with our own employment measures to make sure there's employment in Kenya.
But you see, most people are looking for white-collar jobs.
And
that is the biggest problem even the government faces. We have got thousands of students qualified, you know, being channeled to the job market, and yet the job market is currently strained. Perhaps SMEs, the support that they can be gotten from the government?
Okay, you understand that SMEs, small medium enterprises, contribute over 45% of our Kenya economy. That keeps it growing. But how are we going to uplift or maybe empower the SMEs? Maybe through the government giving free late loans, grants, and maybe encouraging banks to give free late loans to the people to be able to purchase the raw materials. And also maybe improving in our manufacturing sector.
Can we say that Kenya is among the countries that's being overtaxed?
Yeah, it is one of the most challenges that we have in Kenya. Taxes. And also to improve on the SMEs, we can offer maybe free license to those people so that they are able to run their businesses without being taxed. Because tax has become a burden to many citizens in Kenya. You look at Nairobi town, Kanju people, making people to move up and down their business are not able to move too smoothly due to the tax that is overrated.
But why is it that we are overtaxed, but the services, people would say that they're not receiving, you know, their services commensurate to what they're being taxed?
Okay, understand. We are facing a very major economic crisis in Kenya. So the KRA, in coordination with the government, are trying maybe to tax side to make sure we are able to pay our debt. That's all. But we should, the government of Kenya should maybe sit down and come up with ways to maybe relieve the tax burden on these people. Because you understand that these people are employed who are working in the government do not feel the burden of taxing, because per se they are able to afford that. But how do you think, maybe what do you think about the people who are in Sokos, in towns, who are trying maybe to run up and down to run smoothly to get their daily bread, the people who are not employed?
I want to ask you two questions. When you hear Honorable Raila Odinga say that each and every poor family will get 6,000 shillings per month, from your own perspective as economic expert, is it achievable?
Okay, I can say per se, everything in a country, a developing country in Kenya, since we are a developing country, is achievable. But what matters, ceteris paribus, as an economist, means all factors are constant. What is the genuineness of what is promising? This one can work, but we are not aware whether the model will work, the genuineness in it. Since perhaps you understand that money was given for Corona times. I don't know whether you got, Victor, you got an opportunity to receive the money, but I have some friends, mine I didn't get myself, but there are people who come maybe from rich families who are stably okay, but they used to get the Corona money. So we don't understand the genuineness in the promise and the model of maybe His Excellency Raila Odinga. So such a model can work, but I can maybe discourage him, since because 75% of Kenyans are living below the poverty level. So that seems a dream.
What is this magic poverty line?
Poverty line means we are not able to afford the daily bread. You cannot afford education, proper housing and education, the basic needs.
So in your own perspective, it's not achievable?
It's not achievable in a country like Kenya, since we question the genuineness in it, the reality.
When I look at what the Deputy President, on the other hand, also say, he will pump 50 billion into this project, another 150 billion to the other project. How would that be achievable then?
I also question His Excellency DP William Ruto. Okay, as I said earlier, everything in a developing country like Kenya can work, but we question the genuine and reality in these things. Okay, if maybe that is the case, pumping maybe 50 billion, 150 billion to the world, that means a country will run into inflation. And maybe we would be able, even will be in a worse economic crisis than it has never been before. So what maybe he can do, and maybe my advice to him, is not giving money to the people at the bottom. Looking at, he should look at the ways to empower the people at the bottom, not simply giving them money. No, when you give everybody, maybe as every citizen in Kenya money, it means there will be a lot of sellers and no buyer. That one will make a country to run into a high rate of inflation.
And currently as we speak, the country is at a high debt rate. And it's projected that for every 100 shillings we spend, 70 shillings goes for debt repayment. That is a huge dent in our pockets. Are we going to get from that deep hole anytime soon as a country?
Okay. According to my point of view, maybe we sit down, we engage ourselves, and the economists and maybe other financial experts on how we are going to drive this off. But if we are not going to sit down, discuss, and come up with great minds we're gonna sit down, discuss, and maybe look at ways that we can evade this. That one will make it better. But what is the current situation in Kenya? Okay, our economy is given a chance for such platform, maybe to inform people, not even speaking to them, is this a real thing? How can we maybe, how is it realistic? What is the genuineness of this thing? But if we not as a country in Kenya, if we're not going to sit down and maybe come up with ways to evade this, it's not
How would you rate President Kenyatta's performance? His term is almost coming to an end.
Uhuru Kenyatta era is almost coming to an end. He has tried. Like, I can say 40% he has worked.
40%? We are seeing highways being built all over, roads, we have got ports built everywhere along our sea and shorelines. 40% is too low for the president.
But look at the economic crisis that we are in Kenya. The time that he was becoming the president of Kenya, we had a which budget of maybe debt. Look at the current level of debt that we have. It's not his mistake, but he has done, he has performed well, quite per se, but the economic crisis, the value of the economy now is very low. The value of a coin is very low. So we still need to do something about that. But he has tried. 40% is quite okay.
40%. Most Kenyans are not feeling the impact. They say that, we are still repaying lots of loans and the country is actually struggling to keep afloat. So when you talk of 40%, that's still okay for a third world country? Okay. Money matters aside, you are running for a position of a woman representative, Machakos County. Tell me something about that.
Okay. I'm passionate about politics. I'm passionate about instrumental leadership. Okay. As per se, I come from Machakos. I was born and raised in Machakos. I know the problems that Machakos people undergo.
Every politician say that.
They says that. I was in another discussion while I was telling people, you can know a person who can perform, but these people, the residents and citizens of Kenya, are rating people equally. But I can tell you per se, a person who maybe understands the problem of an area is the best person that the residents of an area can vote for that person. So I was looking at the history of Machakos back then. I know many of the people do not understand the role of a women rep, but a women rep was brought on board to curb the problem and significance of to that gender role. They are brought on board to fight for the rights of girl child. But do we see them in parliament debating for bills and policy statements to fight for the rights of girl child? They don't, simply because they don't know their roles. So me as a women rep, I aspirant in Machakos County, I've researched. I want to fight for the rights of girl child specifically, just because a women rep is just like an MP. But what is the difference? Allocation of the budget and staff, CDF, they are all involved. But what is the main role of these women rep? To fight for the rights of girl child.
Yeah. Basically, legislation is also part of it, apart from fighting for the rights of a girl child. You know, when you talk of a position of a woman representative, most women are now running from that position and eyeing for the role of, the positions of governorship. Do you really think that women are given a proper platform to compete with their male counterparts politically?
Or apart from the women rep seat, maybe in governors and MPs. Okay.
Because that's the only seat that you'll not see a man going there.
Yeah. But I understand even from where I sit and from where I come from, they are women aspirant. Like just like Wavinya Ndeti, Florence Mwangangi, they come from Machakos and they are competing for the seat of a governor.
Yes.
Okay, what I can see is the society views women as a weak weapons. So you understand, many of these women who are aspiring for political seats, the society can view them as a weak weapon. But what comes later after that? If you are a woman and maybe you are not contesting for a woman rep seat, you are competing with other men, you should prove yourself to the people that you can. We are not electing you for merciless things, for sympathy. No, prove that you can.
Okay. So are you trying to say that the current member of parliament hasn't performed well?
The current women rep,
yes,
especially she hasn't. We have never seen her in parliament debating and giving policy statements about the rights of girl child being fought. There are a lot of gender-based violence rape cases are happening over and over in Masinga, Kathiani and those stuff. When she's called on board, she doesn't say. She's not seen. So we need to elect a vibrant leader, courageous one, a transparency and an accountable person. A person who has the interest of Mwananchi at hand.
Which party are you going to vie on?
Okay, Spasi now I'm affiliated with UDS Spasi now. I am working hand in hand with UDA. So I believe as things unfold, if ceteris paribus, all factors held constant, I'll fight using that ticket. But if I was encouraging the citizens of Kenya, maybe at Spasi, we don't choose political parties. I understand there is this ethnic that maybe is affiliated to the communities, but if you see a capable leader that is maybe in ODM, you don't like ODM, is in Wiper, you don't like Wiper, choose the candidate, not the political party.
But currently in Kenya, most people go for the party because most of the politicians, they always want to have that three-piece suit. We all know it. You know, with the whole system from the governor to the Senate seat down to the MCA, they always want a suit, as they call it in politics. How are you going to crack with the UDA in Machakos County? Yes, it's perceived to be a wiper zone.
Okay, it's conceived to be a wiper zone, but I'm moving up and down, speak to the residents of Machakos and citizens of Machakos, encouraging them to not choose a political party. As per se, maybe UDA might not be famous in Machakos County, but I'll make it famous in Machakos County. Since I'm the candidate of UDA and I know what I'm advocating for is the right thing for the citizens of Machakos County.
Okay, allow me to take a break, and when we come back, we're still going to talk more about issues to do with gender parity, an issue that is still pending in Parliament, has never been achieved to this particular time, even when we're now having another election almost coming up in 6 months' time. So let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Oh, so fast.
My goodness. You scared me. Auntie!
I know you wouldn't say anything to your parents. You'd rather keep it from them, pretending to be happy.
What kind of attitude is that? I must have been insane to let my sister marry you. Sure!
You think you can bully my son, huh? In your dreams. Go back to your parents and never come back!
Are you going to spend the rest of your life with that boring woman just to maintain your reputation? If you ever miss me, come find me.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
Leonardo, come on, we don't want to be late.
Hey, what's going on here?
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, Maria, but I'd prefer if you don't come. It's hard enough as it is.
I'm going with you.
Believe me, it's much better this way.
Leonardo's not protecting Mariela because he sees her as a daughter, but because he's in love with her. He wants her for himself.
Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición entre dudas y una.
Welcome back with Annabelle Ndilo, who is a woman representative aspirant Machakos County. We are still talking matters of politics and women in general. Before we took a break, I wanted to ask you the issue of the 2/3 gender rule, which is still pending in Parliament. And, you know, we are coming to another election moment. But that bill has not been effected in Parliament. What's your take on that, Annabelle?
Okay, my take on the 2/3 gender rule. First of all, I would want maybe to appreciate maybe the policy statement, maybe who came up with the position of the women rep. And as per se, as I've told you, women rep are perceived or are taken as MPs in Parliament. But even with the position of the women rep in Parliament,
yes,
the 2/3 gender rule has never been achieved. But what can we do about this?
What can you do about it?
We should maybe encourage female aspirants to come on board. That is the cure for that. There's no any other way. Since the nominations and maybe the women rep positions are there, and maybe women are nominated,
yes,
we must encourage, females should feel encouraged to stand for these political seats and prove to the citizens of Kenya that they can make it, and maybe they are the best candidate for the positions, so that we curb that.
Yeah. But even as we say that the bill is still in Parliament, is still pending, the big issue here is the male counterparts. Anytime it's taken on the floor of the House for reading, it flops. So does it mean that the male counterparts in Parliament are not comfortable with women taking up these particular roles?
Okay, the male candidates feel inferior. As I've just told you, the society,
really?
Yeah, they feel inferior. Okay, when I'm running for a political seat, let's say an MP, and I'm running with, they are female MPs who are elected, not even nominated.
Yes.
So the point here is you prove to the people that you can, because the society perceives the women as a weak weapon. So it's we female to come on board and prove we are the best for this.
Yeah.
But for you men, you feel inferior while these females get this political seats. You are.
No, we don't feel inferior. Politics is open field. It's an open field for everyone. It's a democracy. So That's why people are going for an election. You elect each and every member of parliament you want, member of county assembly, etc., etc. But, you know, when it comes to the issue of nomination, it's a big issue, and most of the political parties are going to grapple with it a lot, just a few months away. What's your take on nomination?
My take on nominations, okay, this nomination, and I encourage all the political leaders and maybe the party leaders.
Yeah.
It should be fair and just that. But you know, this is politics, is that dirty game. You must prove yourself that you can. Because I also think if you're a genuine person, you go on ground, you talk to your people, you listen to their needs, and maybe make them understand you are the best person for this. That one can happen. But this is a politics, it's a dirty game, but we are trusting in God it will be fair and just, so that the right leaders will be elected, and maybe nominated for the seats.
Because, you know, it's one of the most competitive processes in an electoral process, because when you look at, you know, when you're given that nomination certificate, you are as good as elected. And it's a tedious process. So which one do you go for? We have got consensus, we have got direct nomination, national suffrage, we have got, you know, secret ballot and handpicking. Which one do you support?
Myself, I support secret balloting.
Why not direct nomination?
Why direct nomination? If maybe a political party has got more than two, maybe more than one aspirant per se, these people, when they go qua ground, it is the right thing to be done. Since we are in UDA, we need a nomination. So you go to the people, you talk to them, you offer your manifestos to them, they elect who they think is the best. And maybe direct nomination should it be there. Why should you be direct nominated? Not unless you are the only aspirant who is willing to vie using a certain political party ticket.
So universal suffrage?
No,
because why not?
Okay, for me, you know, this is politics, that again, people can rival and stuff. So for the purpose of peace, since we are in a political arena that requires a lot of patience and unity as per se now, let's use secret balloting. Or maybe if you feel this, maybe nomination is not going to be fair and just, you are more than one candidate in a political party, hiring and vying using the same ticket. If you feel it might not be fair and justice, why can't you be independent? Go and talk to your people. I
would like to get your point on negotiated democracy. What's the take on that?
Negotiated democracy, like where we sit down, discuss, and maybe offer the best solution for that. In fact, that is what should be done. But what is happening as per se now, there's no negotiated democracy. People are fighting for their own interests. They have their own personal deals. They have their own people whom they want to maybe give them positions they are not qualified for. So negotiated democracy is the right thing for a country like Kenya. That one will work. Since there is negotiated democracy, that is one way of curbing corruption.
Exactly. And to talk of corruption, it's one of the biggest issues that, you know, the counties, many governors actually are still, you know, they still have court cases still pending, perhaps because of the misuse of the public money. When you get elected as a member of parliament, woman representative Machakos, how would you curb corruption?
First of all, as I said earlier, the citizens of Machakos and Pasi, the whole country, look at a leader that is accountable, transparent, and impactful transition in the society. First of all, if you won't be corrupt, you must be transparent, accountable. You must account. I was given 2 million, I allocated it in this way. Am I accountable? Especially also, the county governments or maybe the national government should come with overseers or maybe supervisors to ensure the money that is given to these people is well allocated. That is the way to go.
Do you really
why can the citizens elect a person, or maybe elect a person whom they think they trust this person, this person is accountable, he or she is courageous, and maybe can run the affairs of the county well. That is the way to go.
How will the Jubilee UDA government, if elected, fight corruption?
Okay, to begin with, who is corrupt in Kenya? Who is bringing this corruption? The poor man can never be corrupt. if you doesn't have money, what are you corrupting to begin with?
Yeah.
So the corruption is higher in the higher levels of the government. So what is the bottom-up model advocating for? For uplifting the people at the low, trying to uplift them to the bottom, so that they are able to sustain their lives. So if we come up with ways to uplift the people from at the bottom, maybe to make them maybe afford the daily bread, there'll be no corruption. But as per se, I've told you, supervision of the money that is given to the government is the way to go.
And the dealings will always take center stage. Much as you want to supervise and oversee how the government, different governments, county governments spend their millions and billion shillings allocated to them by the national government, it's still a very hard nut to crack, even to the investigative authorities. I asked that question intentionally because corruption is one of they say is a cancer that is killing this country. So I still need to understand how the UDA government formed will, if they are if they're elected to run the next government, how they will tackle corruption, because we don't hear them talk of corruption.
Oh, they have never talked of corruption. I was speaking and telling another guy, it is even now, okay, we haven't lodged our manifestos, but we have that in our manifestos.
Yes.
To begin with, I've told you, a poor person can never be corrupt. What are you corrupt for?
Why not?
What are you corrupting?
Why not? You want to get your way.
A poor person, you are not able to afford your daily bread. What can you corrupt? So we are trying to come up with ways to empower the people at the bottom. Okay, this is my take on the same thing. Supervision is the way to go and auditing is the way to go. For instance, if we choose an accountable and maybe a transparent, maybe president, you know these things from the top, maybe to the bottom. The supervision and maybe the accountability and transition should also come from the MCA, going to the MPs, to the women rep, to the senators, and maybe to the presidents of the county who are the governors.
Yes. I asked a panel here, do we have politicians or leaders in our country?
Okay, Spasi, we have leaders who are politicians and we have politicians who are not leaders. But I won't want to challenge the citizens of Kenya. Okay, you can't be a leader and you are not a politician. You can be a politician and not a leader. So it is the citizens to decide and maybe measure. The problem is how do we measure the accountability and maybe the transparency of this person. But what we need in Kenya are not politicians, because the definition of a politician is a rampant guy, a person who loves rivalry, a person who can maybe you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not a politician. Okay, politicians are not bad, but what they have been doing, their past history is questionable. So we need to change the direction of maybe the meaning of politicians through our actions.
What makes you special and amongst other competitors in Machakos County?
Okay, why me?
Why you?
Why me? So that is the point. I am the best candidate for Machakos County Women Rep. Why? And even for the whole county. But you know, politics is a process and leadership is a process. You must undergo this maybe to get somewhere. So why me? Because I'm accountable, I'm courageous, and I am ready to serve the citizens of Machakos County and fight for the rights of girls in Machakos County and eliminate the GBV, gender-based violence.
Have you unveiled your manifesto?
I haven't, but I'm planning to unveil it soon. It has been spreading through the media. I go to churches, I go to maybe burials, I go to Arambes and stuff, but officially launching it, not yet.
Maybe a sneak peek of what's in your manifesto. Kidogo tu.
Okay, for me, I advocate for transparency and accountability. That is my main thing. Accountability and transparency.
You're speaking as an accountant. In politics, some people say that you'll throw your profession throughout the window.
I cannot. In parliament, you know, these people do not understand these things. Even in parliament, we have subcommittee for budgets, for accountant, for finance and stuff. That's why I've told you. Me, I'm not moving from my profession to politics. I just want to add something
extra
that.
value
I want to
addition.
fight for the rights of accountants like me, certified accountant who don't have jobs. You understand?
When you, what's your take on the coalition process? We have got a pre-coalition pact. that the UDA wing that you are vying on is supporting, we need to have a pre-election pact. Do you support pre-election pact or a post-election pact among the coalition members in UDA?
Okay, among especially now you've seen Musalia and Wetangula and joining us. This I say that goes by. There comes a time that you have to take a decision, not political, not religious, but because your conscience tells you to do so.
Yes.
All these peoples are finding a place or maybe a space where they're gonna maybe express themselves to their people, and maybe a person who maybe as their supported and who is able to move with. So I stand for the
post-election. But the deputy president, who is a party leader, supports pre-election.
Sorry, I meant pre-election just before. But what about these political coalitions? As I've just told you, what should be ringing at our minds is this: the communities, maybe a Kamba community, Luya community, have their people who call them their kingpin.
Yes.
You look at the qualities of the kingpin. Is these people being led by maybe the needs of themselves, the personal interest? No. Such a person who is led by the personal interest should not be elected, should not even be fronted. But if you have the interest of your community and rank, that is the way to go. Yeah. But joining maybe a political coalition is not just a big deal. You just find yourself where you feel you are comfortable, you are able to represent your community well.
There are some allegations that there is some sense of disquiet in the UDA since the entrance of Honorable Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi. Would you confirm or deny that?
No. We are at the negotiation table. Things are okay. Decision-making process is on, and I promise the citizens of Kenya it shall be well with time.
So there is no disquiet.
No, there is no disquiet.
When we look at the pictures. The members who used to be there have now been given some sort of a backseat. And the two principals who joined, Honorable Musalia and Wetangula, have now been given a front line. Is that one of the reasons why there's some sense of disquiet in the UDA?
I don't think so. Since my boss, His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, wants to reach to the people of Musalia and Wetangula, he has to bring them on board. This is politics. This is leadership. This is a coup. So he must have brought these people on board and start working with them. There's no backseat given to anyone. He have told you this is politics. You have to have your interests and the interests of your people at hand. So that is not the reason as to why there's disquiet.
I'm quite interested in understanding how the deputy president will pick his running mate. Maybe a hint?
Okay. Especially now I cannot disclose. I don't even have an idea. But as I've told you, we are in the negotiation table. Things will be right soon. But we are the winning team.
Every politician will say, even the other side of Azimio say that the winning team.
But you take a look. Keep watching.
Who is the most probable running mate?
The most probable, we cannot say, we cannot discuss that.
An idea, because you're a member of the UDA, and you see your colleagues in that wing. Who is do you think is most likely to deputize?
No, we cannot discuss that, please. But as time unfolds, things will be right, and maybe you invite me for another interview. Things shall be well.
I like the way you're running away from that. When you hear Honorable Raila Odinga saying that he's the best candidate to run this particular country, he's given his manifesto, in his agenda, the pointers, the Baba Care, and what have you. Do you really believe that he's the right person to run this country?
I don't buy his idea. I
Why
buy
not?
the bottom-up idea. That's why I wrote the book, The Rootonomics, the Bottom-Up Economy. Okay, you know, this politics, there's somewhere where you feel comfortable and you see, and maybe as I'm an economist, I know our country should be run, and during maybe Mwakibaki's era, the economy of Kenya was stable and it was running at a very good rate. But as per see now, things are not okay. And the same things that Raila is promising Kenyans are the same things that we have seen in Uhuru era. You understand? So, me, I'm questioning his model. But as I told you, every more economic model can work in Kenya. What we are questioning is the reality in this and genuineness. But as per se now, we cannot. Where is the money, the 6K coming from to be given to the poor people? Where is the money?
Where will
so
the
we are
and where will the 150 billion shillings come from?
That's why I said I am questioning the 150 billion and maybe the 6,000 that maybe the leaders are promising the people. But what I told you, the 50 billion come from the investment and maybe empowering the SMEs. That is what I can support. But the genuineness of the 6,000 is questionable.
It's questionable.
Yeah. But it is his manifesto, is right. Let him continue championing, and we are championing for what we know it's right. Whatever the Mwananchi will feel that is okay for the country of Kenya, we shall go by that.
Fair enough. You know, what value has Mudavadi added to the UDA wing and Moses Wetangula?
The value that they have added, of course, you know, as I said earlier, these are politics. Musalia and Wetangula are lawyers. They come from Western, so they helped us maybe capture the Luya people. So we have the Luya at the table. We are, as I said, we are in the decision-making and negotiation table, but they have added a lot of value to us since we have decided to work with them.
In the last election in 2017, Honorable Raila Odinga was only lost in Vihiga County, and the governor of Vihiga County is an ODM member. He won in Bungoma, Busia, Kakamega, Trans Nzoia, only lost in Vihiga County. By then, there was a Jubilee coalition, but he single-handedly floored them. What makes you think that now the two will help them to bag all the votes to the UDA side?
Okay, everything is possible. What we have to sit down with these people. We have to talk to the Luya community and staff. That is what matters, because the votes are with the people. If the people of Vihiga and Western feel that Musalia and Wetangula are the best people, people who we entrust with our county, people who we entrust with our needs, maybe as a region, that is the way to go. But we as UDA, we have brought them on board because we feel we need these people. They also need us. We need to engage the Luya people and staff. But this country should be non-tribalistic. But you know, this is politics. As my advice to the citizens, I said, choose the right candidate for that. Not tribal, not whatever. No, this one is a female, this one belongs to a political party. But as per se now, we have to have political parties. So we are championing for where we belong.
So you are optimistic that they will bring more votes to the basket?
I am very optimistic. I have no doubt about that. And we are the winning team. There's no doubt about that.
Okay. 9th of August, Kenyans will decide. I want to get your point on the issue of gender-based violence. It's an issue that has been raised over and over again, and you find that women are the worst affected. And it's something that we're still grappling with as a nation. Give me your point, 100 days into office, what you'd do to fight gender-based violence.
Gender-based violence, first of all, citizens should understand, is affiliated with rape, FGM and stuff, things that affect the women. Like rape cases, a man can't be raped, is in a very rare cases that a man can get raped. But what am I going to do for maybe to curb the female genital mutilation? And female genital mutilation is not happening in Machakos. So mine is to come maybe the insecurity of maybe insecurity in females, maybe in some regions, and maybe the rape cases that are happening. First of all, what causes this rape? You understand that due to the immorality that is in the society, the jobless people, the drug addicts, and drunk addicts, the bank smokers, the new smokers, those are the people who maybe do the rape cases. So what are we going to do about that? Maybe we take these people, we offer them jobs, or maybe you understand that many of the drug addicts, especially now, are the youth. People from high school, from campus and stuff. What can we do to these people? There are also people in the society who are not educated. That's my point, that maybe we should come up with technical institutions to educate these people to be able to sustain their life. Even if they don't have the education skills, we can impact them or maybe empower them in skills, the practical skills that maybe can make them get jobs and stuff. So first to curb rape cases. Who causes the rape cases? The jobless people, the drunk addicts. So I shall come up with policies that will curb drunk addicts. Yes, to curb the rape cases.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the issue of FGM.
Yeah, FGM, especially from, as I said, Machakos is not an affected area.
Yeah, but
I have my
nationally.
Nationally,
right.
I have my initiative that fights for girl child. Or maybe as per se, I said I have a call of serving the girl child area. I have an organization, a foundation, Cipiana Belindilo Foundation, Tears of a Woman.
Yeah.
What does women undergo? What causes the female gender mutilation? We just have to educate these people. This is a thing of the past. Time is so much gone. We need to transform to the reality of the world. Yeah.
The government moved from 844 mode of education and to the CBC. Do you support CBC in the first place?
Okay, I support it partly and I don't support it partly. 50% I support it. Simply because, as I've just told you, many of Kenyans are living below the poverty level. That is 75% of Kenyans are poor. The CBC is very much costly. If you have a kid, you can testify at least. You tell me, it is very expensive. Some of the parents are not even able to purchase the books for the kids. So maybe we should have come up with policies to see how the common man, the poor person, can afford this CBC. It's not a bad one since we are living in the 21st century. And CBC, as you're going to understand, it has a lot of technology things in it, IT. Yeah. So instead of maybe doing away with these things with the CBC, we should come up with policies, statements, maybe procedures to make sure that education is affordable to the poor person, because the poor person is the only person who is suffering. People who are maybe rich, maybe who have jobs, they don't feel the much weight of buying the books. But a person, a parent, a mom who is in Machakos, Masinga, a village, who doesn't have a job, doesn't afford the daily bread, how gonna he or she afford the books? So it's not a bad thing since we are living in the 21st century. Technology, we cannot do away with technology. So CBC is a good thing. But what are we going to do to make sure education is free and affordable to the poor person?
Okay. Yeah. During several rallies, most of the politicians allied to the UDA have said that should UDA be elected in the next government, then they will completely abolish CBC. What's the talk on that?
My talk on that is very much okay, but we were thinking and maybe at a discussion saying CBC is not a bad thing. Okay, people are alleging that maybe it was brought on board maybe to curb or maybe solicitize for funds to some few individuals in the government.
Really?
But if that is the case,
really,
then
CBC is rolled out across the country.
It is rolled out around the country, but the views of the people...
You can't say it was meant to solicit for funds for a few people in government, Annabelle.
People are alleging that CBC, it's my side now in the UDA, it was brought on board to solicitize for funds from to some individuals in the government. But if that is the case, you know, we're fighting for the rights of the poor person.
Yes.
The rich person here is stable. So that's why I've said we come up with policies not to do away with the CBC. If we feel it's too much and maybe we cannot be able to withstand the pressure in it, then we can do away with it. But since this one is embracing the technology, we are in the 21st century, we come up with policies to make sure education of CBC is affordable to the poor man. Yeah.
It's you sound as if CBC was only meant for the rich. But when you walk across the country and you see what kids are able to do right now, they're hands-on, practical oriented. You and I went through the 844 system of education. Certain things we were only meant to cram. Right now, kids are hands-on. The government spent billions of shillings to make sure that CBC is a success. And the CE is still adamant that CBC is here to stay and is quite close to the heart of the president. A lot of infrastructure the government is continuing to put right now, the classes, the teachers are still getting trained. Why would you scrap a certain thing that the government has really worked on as a government, then you want to take people back to where they were initially almost 6-7 years ago?
So that's why I've just said this CBC is a good thing. since the era that we're living now, we need practical things.
Yeah.
We need technical skills that maybe people who have graduated from maybe university colleges or maybe from that class 6 can be able to do carpentry, welding and stuff. So CBC is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether you know that there are books that were supposed to be purchased. I know you live within town, but for me, I come from Mashinani. I know what happens. In fact,
I also live outside town.
You live outside town.
Yes.
So at least you can satisfy. There are books which are very expensive. Some parents are not even able to afford those books.
Yeah.
So that is my take. If maybe Magoa can take my advice from me, maybe CBC is a good thing. It is maybe embracing the technology and technical skills that we need in a developing country to make it developed as per se now. So this CBC is a good thing. We come up with policy and maybe procedures of making it be affordable to the common man. That's my take.
Okay. Let's get into Machakos County now. Who is your biggest competitor?
My biggest, yes, per se now I don't have a competitor. In Machakos County.
Your own competitor?
No, I know they are there, but they are not main competitors. I'm just my main competitor myself.
So you're waiting for 9th of August and your home hand. All right. 100 days in office, what do you promise the people of Machakos?
First of all, the issue of gender-based violence and allocation of GAF funds. As I said, I have a call of serving the windows.
Yeah.
Since I know the problems they undergo, I was overseeing and maybe making follow-ups on whether the GAF money for windows have ever reached the window people, and it has never. So I look forward to working with the people of Machakos and ensuring that every window stays a good life, is able to get the money that is allocated to them. And empower the rights of girl child in Machakos County and the whole county as per se, and making education a better place, and trying to maybe to increase the manufacturing and improve the manufacturing sector in Machakos. We have the sand scooping and stuff.
Okay. You are an author, and with me here I have a book that you've written. It's called Rootonomics, Bottom-Up Economics. Explain to me, what is bottom-up economics? Because it's really challenging people. Now that you're the author, perhaps you know better.
Okay, I'm the author of Rootonomics, the bottom-up economics.
Here's the book. Rootonomics, Bottom-Up Economics. Yeah, she's the author. So what do you understand by what's bottom-up economy?
Bottom-up economy simply means we are uplifting people from the very poor background, the people living below the poverty level, if not high, then to the medium, so that they are able to sustain their lives. But what my book, I am going to launch it very soon, by the way, keep watching and keep tuned. It talks about the pillars of the bottom-up economy and how we can embrace this bottom-up economy to be workable in Kenya, because it's not even writing, we have to put it in practice, practicability. But it is as per se talks about what should be done in a developing country in Kenya. What are the pillars of the bottom-up economy? What are the lags? What are we lagging behind? What can make us not to achieve the maybe the blueprint principles and objective of the bottom-up model? And I think it shall be helpful to Kenyans.
You know, from the discussions we've had in the past, we have got economic and non-economic factors and pillars of the bottom-up economy. What are some of them?
Economic factors, okay, as per se, economics means like the value of a coin. You understand that Kenya is a developing country and we are running at a very high debt rate as we talk now.
Yes.
So one of the pillars of, I think you've just seen there, economic and non-economic factors. Economic means things that affect money directly. Non-economic means things that do not affect money directly. Money means maybe the level of economic means the level of education, because for you to get educated, if not free education, you must pay something. But take for instance people who are in the society who are not able to maybe afford education, maybe they are old, they are getting, maybe they are youth at around 30 and 40s. What can we do about those people? Maybe we come up with technical trainings for these people, maybe to impact skills on electricity, welding and stuff. People who have never been in class.
Yes. What motivated you to come up with this book?
My motivation towards this book is I am in love with bottom-up economy. It is the best model that can ever work for a developing country like Kenya. It is tested and proven right in USA and China, so it can work in Kenya. Ceteris paribus, if you read my book, means all factors are constant.
Yes.
We have to have perfect competition and perfect information. What is the bottom-up people and my boss doing as per se now is reaching to the very persons in the ground, getting to know their problems. When you see us in political rallies, we are trying to get what does a Mwananchi view this thing as? What are the most basic needs that Mwananchi has? That is perfect information. About perfect competition, now it comes in corruption. That's why I've told you one of the ways of curbing corruption, because I've told you a poor man can never be corrupt. You are corrupt for nothing in trying to empower the people at the bottom. But my motivation towards the book, I'm an economist. I need Kenyans to understand that the developing country like Kenya can work best under bottom-up economy, but what factors held constant? Yeah.
Kenyans have a very peculiar reading habits. Do Kenyans read? I doubt if Kenyans read.
They really do. But we have scholars like me, people who are interested in the book, and maybe I can put it into practice. That's why I've told you, it's not a theoretical thing. Yes, I've put it in theory, in writing, but I need to explain to Kenyans what the book speaks about. That is the thing to go. And how can we implement the policies and the principles of the bottom-up model? Yes.
Can we say that devolution is also part of bottom-up economy?
Yeah, it is.
So why replicate what's already in practice?
No. My take, you understand.
Because when you talk of devolution, it means that the money was devolved from the national government down to the mashinani, and the same thing the bottom-up economy is talking about, more or less the same?
It's more or less the same. But my book specifically, devolution is inside the bottom-up model, because devolution is one of the principles of the bottom-up model. A principle means what can we do? What is the stronghold of this thing? What can be done, written, implemented to make sure that things shall come to pass and maybe achieves what it must. So devolution is a pillar of bottom-up model.
Yes.
But maybe I can have another interview, maybe to come and explain to these people what really the bottom-up model is all about. But I'll be launching my book very soon. Maybe you have a copy. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Before we go, where can we find the book, or is not yet launched?
It is not yet launched, but I'll be launching it soon.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much. We'll be speaking to Annabelle Ndilo, who is aspiring to be a member of County Assembly, a member of Women Representative of Machakos County, of Machakos County under UDA ticket. That's where we leave at this particular point. We are taking a break. We'll be right back with more.
Keep abreast of the developments live from the National Assembly and the Senate.
Honourable members of Parliament.
The questions.
When is the construction expected to commence?
The motions.
Beg to give notice of the following motion.
The debate.
Will as many as want to say aye.
The statements.
A statement on an issue of general topical concern.
The petitions.
Order number 4, petitions.
Stay tuned to KBC Channel 1 and Radio Taifa for live proceedings from both Houses of Parliament from Tuesday to Thursday. Live, uncensored, unedited. KBC, your national broadcaster.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
Leonardo, come on, we don't want to be late.
Hey, what's going on here?
What's the matter?
I'm sorry, man. But I'd prefer if you don't come. It's hard enough as it is.
I'm going with you.
Believe me, it's much better this way.
Leonardo's not protecting Mariela because he sees her as a daughter, but because he's in love with her. He wants her for himself.
Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición entre dos.
Kupitia uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali imetekeleza miradi kadhaa ya ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu kwa manufaa ya Wakenya. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254.
I have said it before, but I'll say it again. Kenyans made it clear that they want to live in decent homes.
Rais Uhuru Kenyatta amejali mtu wa chini sana, kwa sababu nyumba kama hizi ukienda ununue hata uwanja yako uanze kujenga itakukosti hata sana.
Siku hizi tunakaa makao mazuri, tunakaa nyumba nzuri. Zamani hatukuwa na choo, tulikuwa na tupa, lakini siku hizi hatutupi.
Goodness. You scared me.
Auntie! I know you wouldn't say anything to your parents. You'd rather keep it from them, pretending to be happy.
What kind of attitude is that? I must have been insane to let my sister marry you.
Sure! You think you can bully my son, huh? In your dreams. Go back to your parents and never come back!
Are you gonna spend the rest of your life with that boring woman just to maintain your reputation? If you ever miss me, come find me.
It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Hamujati Khadija, kwani mnamuvu suro aje?
Come on, let's just snap out of it. Please, you will kill us.
My people, ladies and gentlemen, my biggest barrier has been answered.
Now, that is a perfect example of a nightmare. Hey!
I know you should see her. She's mwah. Oh, there goes my time. Get my books and bring them to the staff.
Okay.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
For 10 minutes to the top of the hour, so it's obviously time for us to look at how the roads are looking like, still focusing on Wayaki Way, and particularly where the expressway gets to terminate at. This is at James Gishuru Road. Remember that this is still an ongoing construction. A lot of activities are happening on this particular stretch. That particular expressway begins from Mlolongo area, that is in Mombasa Road, cutting through sections of the same route up until areas of Bunyala Road, Uhuru Highway, past there, up until areas of Westlands, all the way till James Gishuru Road. So that is actually the entire stretch of expressway. And this morning particularly, we're just focusing on that area that is where it will get to terminate at, given the fact that, like I mentioned, it's still an ongoing construction. And you can remember earlier on, particularly around that junction, just as you get to branch off to James Gishuru Road, there was really heavy kind of traffic. And again, also I mentioned to you that it was very important and necessary to ensure that that expressway gets to cut through this area, given the fact that it is one of those busy roads, busy area. Waiyaki Way, termed as a commercial road, one of those commercial centers, a good number of businesses, activities, industries, companies, also a residential area. And again, that is also one of those reasons that informed the construction that was happening around Westlands area, because just like the entire Waiyaki Way, the same is also around Westlands area. So obviously one of those busy roads as well as busy ways, and this is part of what informed the expressway cutting through. So this is how it is looking like this morning around this area. Things have changed altogether. And again, this is why I keep saying all the time that this traffic changes every single minute, every single second. In one could be heavy kind of traffic, in the next minute things are opening up a bit, and the reasons are different on different roads. On this particular one, like I mentioned, there's still a lot of ongoing road works on this stretch. So this is how it is looking like at this very minute, opening up a bit. But like again, unlike actually, like most roads where oftentimes you'd experience especially heavy kind of traffic, particularly on lanes that are leaving the estates in the early morning hour, it is so different on Waiyaki Way, because on this stretch, early morning hours and evening rush hours, you'd really be experiencing or seeing traffic on both lanes of this road. So aside from just lanes heading over to the city center, obviously leaving the estates where you'd see heavy kind of traffic because of obvious reasons. And this one, you'd also be spotting still similar heavy kind of traffic as you leave city center, coming to the areas around the estates, because as I mentioned, it is a commercial center. So obviously a lot of businesses, companies, workstations are around this area. And again, this is why you'd see heavy kind of traffic, just like what we are seeing as you leave areas of Parklands, leaving areas of Westlands, still coming through Waiyaki Way, and as away from James Gishuru Road up until the Westlands roundabout. So actually where there's really heavy kind of traffic on that stretch is just as you leave that intersection and joining to Waiyaki Way, but slightly past there up until the Westlands roundabout on both lanes along Waiyaki Way, moving at a very swift pace. And again, the same traffic begins to really build up around the Westlands roundabout. But again, the reason is just the same as I mentioned to you earlier. But around the roundabout, this is how it is looking like. Still heavy kind of traffic on some sections here and there, but again, even at that, opening up a bit as you head over to Parklands Road, as well as that Sleep Road, that is Raptor Road, heading over to the other side of Westlands. So particularly on these two areas, just where traffic is building up a bit, but on some sections here and there around the roundabout, moving at a swift pace. And past there, as you leave the roundabout, still coming to the city center, that is just before you get to the university roundabout, moving at a swift pace on both lanes of this stretch. So if you're leaving those estates that I mentioned to you earlier, coming to the city center, then again, still a good time for you to be doing that, because much as there's traffic here and there on some sections of Waiyaki Way, majorly on major parts along the same route, moving at a very swift pace. Alternatively, you can use Kipande Road as your alternative route. This is perhaps if you do not want to make do with a heavy kind of traffic in between the stretch of University Way roundabout and Kenyatta Avenue. Again, this is simply because there's a section on that stretch which has been closed for a while because obviously of that expressway construction which is still taking shape on that particular route. So you can use Kipande Road as your alternative route, and that is how it is looking like this morning in terms of traffic. We were just keenly focusing on what has been happening along Waiyaki Way, particularly on that stretch where the expressway will get to terminate at, and this is simply because it's still an ongoing construction, still ongoing road works in that particular section. So just trying to track how all of this is affecting and impacting traffic flow altogether. But at exactly 9 minutes, the top of the hour, that is how it is looking like along Waiyaki Way.
as mentioned today, it's a conversation all about cancer to understand where we are as a country. And as mentioned earlier on, we have with us Dr. Catherine Nyongesa. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. Tell us a bit about your background when it comes to cancer treatment.
We do follow the international cancer treatment guidelines, and more so we even have our own local cancer treatment guidelines. So we really follow science in giving treatment. So basically we stage the cancer to know what stage it is, and then what is the best treatment recommended. Putting in mind, we always have also multidisciplinary care, whereby we involve other disciplines in discussing the patient and giving the best way forward. One of the treatment includes surgery. You can give radiotherapy or chemotherapy, and sometimes a patient may have all the three treatments in a special sequence, depending on the type of the cancer and the stage of the cancer, and even the patient's preferences.
All right. Now tell us a bit about the situation. You know, when you were setting up this beautiful institution in line with the fight against cancer, where were we as a country when you were setting up, and just looking at the journey and how far we have come in the number of years you have been working?
So I look at it more than 10 years ago. To be precise, it was in 2020. And at that time... 2010, sorry. Yes. And at that time, we had very few cancer centers in the country. Patients had to wait for months. In fact, it was only mainly one public center that was offering affordable treatment. So patients had to wait for many months or travel long journey before they can get access to cancer care. And I remember one of the patients asked me, "Doctor, why are you giving me an appointment for 6 months down the line? What will happen to me 6 months to come?" So I said, probably instead of just waiting and lamenting, I took a step forward to see if we can set up a center that could bridge part of that gap. And at that time, I thank God, because the center came in handy and bridged that gap of delay in seeking care. We are able to offer timely chemotherapy, and later we had acquired the radiotherapy machine, so radiotherapy was also given in a timely manner. And I can just be grateful to God because of the success stories that we have had of the patients who've been treated and got better after our care. And there are times when the cancer patients present a bit too late, and all you can do is probably just manage and keep them comfortable. Some of them succumb to the disease, but we always try our level best to assist the patient to improve the quality of life.
All right. Now, Dr. Catherine,
Yes.
when we talk about cancer, for most people, we equate cancer to a death sentence because we might not really understand the context of which cancer really is. So maybe you could tell us a bit about, when we talk about cancer, medical speaking, what is it?
So cancer is a complex disease. It's just not one disease. And when you talk about cancer, it really depends on the site. Where does it come from? The age of the patient, the stage of the cancer, the type. You can even have breast cancer, but there are different subtypes of breast cancer. So all those makes it quite complex. But in summary, it is a disease which cells in the body undergo mutation, or they undergo a change. And with this change, they start multiplying without ceasing and form either a mass, a lump, or a growth. And this growth sometimes can spread to other parts of the body through blood stream or through lymphatic system. And it can also go in the bone marrow in the case of blood cancer. And with this, it brings its own challenges to the body because of the spreading. It can damage some of the organs. Patients can have bleeding. The cancer can bleed when it bursts or ulcerates. And also they can have pain where the cancer is.
All right. And what is the difference between the benign cancer and the malignant forms of cancer?
So the benign one is actually not cancer. Okay. Yeah, a benign one has no potential to spread. It cannot spread. Okay. So then that is not a cancer. Cancerous growths have potential to spread to other parts of the body and even destroy the area they have spread to.
Okay. Now, here in Kenya, cancer has been listed as the third leading form of, rather, cause of diseases, cause of death. That is after infectious diseases and cardiovascular diseases. And let's just start by understanding, looking at the genders in this particular case. When it comes to men, which are the most common forms of cancers that have been identified?
So in our country, as you rightly mentioned, cancer is the third leading cause of death. 60% of these cancers are actually reported in women and only 40% in men. When now we break it down to the men, the common cancers are prostate cancer, esophageal cancer, and throat cancers. And then now we have the colon or the digestive system cancers. Okay. Yeah. When we come to women, we see breast is leading, followed by cervical cancer, and then others include the throat cancers. Yeah.
All right. Now, when it comes to public awareness, how are we doing as a country? Because for most of the cancer cases that I've been able to interact with, we always find people seeking treatment when it has developed to the further stages where treatment becomes a challenge. How is awareness contributing to all this?
So awareness is a challenge. I would say we still not yet there. Our government has tried. We do have the National Cancer Screening Guidelines, trying to even educate community healthcare workers to pick up the common symptoms about cancer, and still the reach or the penetration to the community is still very low. The awareness, I would say, is just around 10%. So we still have a lot of work to do as a country to educate the members of the public about the common signs of cancer, because cancer, the chances of cure is higher when it's detected early. Yes. And it becomes very difficult to cure cancer if it is detected late, or sometimes patients they are not aware that they have cancer, so that leads to delay in diagnosis, or worse so, inaccessible medical health assistance that is quite timely. So all that leads to a patient being delayed in diagnosis, and that ultimately translates into a poorer outcome and even expensive treatment. So cancer is really cheap to treat when it's early, and more expensive and more complicated to treat when it's late, because at that time also we have a lot of cancer-related complications that arise from the spreading of the cancer.
Dr. Catherine, are there any known causes of cancer?
Thank you. Cancer, majority of the times, we don't know the cause. We can say they are sporadic. So you'll go in the community, dig in the family history, and you'll not find anyone with cancer. So you are like the first one presenting with that cancer in your family, and like you get shocked. So there are some identifiable risk factors for cancer. We've seen, if we look in our community, we see that women are more prone to cancer. So just being a woman is a higher risk. Yeah, and then the other thing is the age. We see most of the cancers are in people older than 40 years. Then use of tobacco and alcohol, agents, for example, hepatitis B can cause liver cancer. HPV will bring about cervical cancer, and then we have EBV, some viruses or flu-like viruses which can bring throat cancer in patients.
Now, that brings me actually to childhood cancers. In the recent years, we've been seeing more and more cases of childhood cancer being reported. Is this something that is also being noticed by medics in your space, or what is actually the main cause of childhood cancers? So childhood cancer is rare in our country. In fact, about 3,000 new cancer cases every year compared to 42,000 in adults.
so it is a rare disease. Unlike the causes of childhood cancer, for adults, like smoking, use of alcohol, children have none of those. So we suspect that it could be also sporadic, where the cells just undergo mutation and start multiplying abnormally. We know that children are growing and their cell multiplication is very fast, trying to differentiate into different organs to mature, and something can go wrong somehow. We also do have inheritance of some genetic mutations. For example, we call the retinoblastoma gene, which can predispose a child to bone cancers and even eye cancers. This can run in the family. We have other genetic mutation, we call them we call it xeroderma pigmentosa, where a child is just prone to getting skin cancer. This is also still transmitted genetically. And then we also encourage that when women are pregnant, they should not involve themselves in use of tobacco, alcohol, or even undergo radiation exposure, because they'll expose the unborn fetus to radiation. Also, we encourage women to only use medicines approved by the doctor, and not just to take just medicines without any special guidance. The doctor should advise them if it is safe to use it in pregnancy. Right. Also, eating soil. I see a lot of women in the village, chewing soil, and you don't know what chemicals are in that soil, yes. And it can be absorbed and affect the fetus, and in future can bring other diseases, including cancer.
All right. Tuache kusema ni mtoto anataka mawe.
Ati anataka mawe. Hapana. Because there are some minerals you are eating in that soil, yes, which may be carcinogenic. Yeah.
And you don't know.
Now,
that brings me to the signs and symptoms that, we might not be aware to or alive to, that could actually be pointing to one cancer or the other. Tell us a bit about those general signs that we need to look out for.
Okay, so cancer generally will present with more than one sign or symptom. It will be a collection of them. But I'll just mention a few of the general ones, like weight loss.
Sudden
weight loss, and it's unintentional. You're actually not like working out, but your pain is your weight is just going. You can have a lump or a growth that is progressively increasing in size. It may be painful or non-painful. Change in bowel habits, change in like you go to pass urine, you'll have blood in urine, bleeding from the body of unexplained cause, and then I would say coughing that just persistent, it doesn't go away despite treatment. And if we just narrow down to the common cancers, say breast cancer, you'll have a lump in the breast, lymph nodes in the armpits, you could have around the collarbone area. That lump can burst through the skin. Sometimes you have like peau d'orange. That's an orange peel-like appearance of your breast. It's swollen and it looks like it's an orange or an onion. Those pins inside the skin of the breast. So that is a bit worrying. If it is cervical cancer, women will present with abnormal bleeding, pain on having intercourse, abnormal vaginal discharge. This is just one of the commonest symptoms. If we look at men with prostate, they'll have difficulties in shedding, micturition, a weak stream or passing urine. Sometimes the urine can get blocked, it doesn't come out easily. They strain a lot. If we look at throat cancer, you'll have a hoarse voice, soreness in the throat, difficulties in swallowing, and weight loss. These are just some of the common symptoms. But having said this, we know that these are generally symptoms that occur even with infections. Most of these symptoms actually occur with other diseases. They occur with infections, even with cardiovascular diseases. So for you to pinpoint and say it is cancer, the symptoms should be persisting at least for more than 2 weeks. And it will need a medical diagnosis. The doctor will have to confirm by doing a biopsy or taking a tissue from the growth or from the blood to confirm that it is cancer.
What about in children? Because like you mentioned, we see the eye cancers, blood cancers, and especially in children. Are there any common symptoms that we can be able to look out for and know that this could be a telltale sign?
So cancer is a great mimicker in children. In fact, it mimics all the infections a child can get. For example, with the lymphomas, they'll present with swollen glands in the neck. This is also common in flus. They can present with gum bleeding, nose bleeding. If they have blood cancer, they'll have bone pains, joint pains. You'll find a child just not playing the way they're supposed to play. All the time they run out, play a little bit, they come to lie down, they say, "Oh, Mama, I'm tired." "Oh, teacher, please, I'm tired, excuse me, I can't play." They don't want to eat. They may have abnormal growths or swelling on their body. So you have to really be on the lookout. And if a parent has a high index of suspicion that this child is not well, despite treatment for infections, they need to take this child to be seen by a pediatrician who will take history, examine the child thoroughly, and try to look out for other issues which could be cancer. Because in children, 1 in 8,000 will have cancer. So it is very hard to pick this cancer in children, and unless it is somebody who a good doctor who can really examine the child and try to have a high index of suspicion to differentiate between cancer and infection. But majority of the things we see in children are actually of infection, and they can be managed, and within a week or two the child is up and about running. But when it's persistent for extended period of time, then it will be good to be screened for cancer.
All right. Now that brings me to the treatment options that are available when it comes to cancer treatment, and especially here in the Kenyan space, and also just what you offer here at Texas Cancer.
So in the Kenyan space, we follow science. We really try to embrace multidisciplinary care, because cancer is a complex disease. So not just one doctor can manage. It involves all the way from the nurse, the nutritionist, the counselor, the doctor, who could be a surgeon, an oncologist. We have medical physicists, we have radiotherapists, you have radiologists. So it is a whole, I cannot even name all of them. But for you to confirm cancer, number one is you need a tissue diagnosis. So the tissue will be taken to the lab, and the pathologist will be involved at that point in time. Once they confirm it's cancer, the patient will go back to the doctor, who will try to know what stage it is. Based on the stage, if it is early stage, surgery will be recommended. So the surgeons will come into play.
And which stages are these?
So we have early and late stage. Early stage is stage 1 and 2, where the cancer has not spread further, and then stage 3 and 4 when the cancer has spread. And generally with stage 4, it means it has gone to distant sites. Maybe it started in the breast, now you have it in the lung, in the liver, so distant spread. So as I mentioned, for stage 1 and 2, most of the patients will need surgery, so the surgeon is involved. And then when you come to stage 3, now there it's a combination. The surgeon may say, "I think you need to reduce this disease by giving chemotherapy, then I can operate." So you have to involve the medical or clinical oncologist in that aspect. And then when it's stage 4, you find now the primary treatment will be chemotherapy, so you'll involve the medical or clinical oncologist, but surgery still may come in to relieve some of the distressing symptoms like bone pain. Maybe there's a broken bone somewhere, needs to be fixed. So really it is multidisciplinary. And in summary, the treatment could be surgery, which involves cutting or removing the tumor. You can use chemotherapy, where we give drugs either orally through the mouth or through the vein. We also have immunotherapy, we have targeted therapy. So there are a lot of developments in the chemotherapy space. And then radiation therapy is using machines to treat cancer. These are X-ray equipments. And in our country, I would say we have really grown in the past 10 years. We have all these treatments available. in the country. We have national cancer centers offering all the three. We have county hospitals offering, say, surgery and chemotherapy. So there's a lot of growth, and I'm just seeing more and more growth in the coming years. We are training doctors to try and bridge the gap, because we had very few oncologists. So now our local universities are training doctors, they are training clinical officers in oncology, nurses in oncology, medical physicists, radiotherapists, pathology. There's just a lot that is going on in this space, including even the infrastructure.
Multidisciplinary.
Yes.
Now, on the other hand, when it comes to the growth that we have seen as a country, the finances always become an issue for many Kenyans when it comes to seeking treatment. And for some, they've actually said that, finances are the reason as to why we have not sought treatment. What can be done, or just paint for us a picture when it comes to the financial obligation that comes into play in cancer treatment?
So the financial burden for cancer care is high. One, because of the multidisciplinary care. It's not like malaria. You go to the GP in the peripheral hospital, they treat you and you are home and dry.
Yes.
Cancer involves all those disciplines I've talked about, and there's cost to it. The cost also goes to the navigation part, where you have to navigate from the counties. Probably you are being treated for infections, then they discover it's cancer. Already there's money spent on trying to establish the diagnosis. So, and then from there now you come now to the actual treatment after staging. So the cost is quite complex, and it is involving, I would say, NHIF has come in to give relief to these patients, because what I know is they can pay for your surgery in the county hospitals and even in the national hospitals, and some of the private hospitals, they give relief. NHIF can pay for chemotherapy, radiotherapy. So it is much better, I would say, since NHIF started supporting patients. It's been like almost 5 years. Things are much better, but it is not yet a comprehensive cover. So patients still also need to take responsibility. This is what the government can do for you, but also as Kenyans, we need to do things for ourselves. Like we need to invest in our health. As we invest in education, you could have a public insurance, that is NHIF, but at the same time, if you can afford, you can apply for a private insurance so that your family is cushioned in all aspects. Yeah. You can have a private insurance to top up, and also as Kenyans, let's not wait when we are sick to enroll. We encourage people to get a medical insurance, even if it's the NHIF. Just enroll and have the card ready, just in case you get sick and you need help in terms of finances.
Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, as part of the value chain, as a stakeholder, would you say that we have an enabling environment in terms of policies here in our country, given health is a devolved ministry? How is the environment enabling you as a practitioner, as a part of the value chain, to ensure that you're giving the best to the common man and each and every patient you interact with?
I think from the government perspective, I always believe the government is you and me, so we are all part of the government, being a Kenyan. And then there's a political goodwill. Our current president has put health as one of the big four agenda. So already that puts health in a step ahead in terms of attention. Though we still have a lot to be done, because cancer care is complex, and the infrastructure, the human resource is all costly. And I would say probably our government need to give like soft loans to health institutions to strengthen them, like to be able to build good infrastructure, to be able to offer this very essential cancer treatment or cancer care service. I've seen, I would say in the past few years, we already have big national centers. The government has invested in those big national centers like MTRH, Kenyatta University, Kenyatta Hospital. So there's so much positivity, and all I would say is that the government should continue providing an enabling environment for this kind of healthcare growth to go on.
All right. And for those that may be seeking treatment, what services do you offer here at Texas?
So here we basically offer cancer treatment. We offer from diagnosis of cancer, screening, then we have chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and on chemotherapy we offer a whole range of chemotherapeutic agents like the conventional chemo, the targeted therapy, immunotherapy, and all that. We also have outpatient services, inpatient services. We treat thyroid cancer using what we call radioactive iodine. This is radiation that a patient ingests to treat the cancer in the neck from the thyroid. We also do have a pharmacy and laboratory, just to mention a few of our services.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us today. How can we find you on social media?
So you can find me as Dr. Catherine Nyongesa. Even Texas Cancer Center is also on social media. You can also go online, Google us, drop us an email on info@texascancercenter.co.ke.
And there you have it. Cancer is a problem, but it is treatable if it is detected early. If you have the opportunity, go get screened, address those symptoms before they now become full-blown cancer, and by that you'll be able to avoid a whole situation. We have been speaking with Dr. Catherine Nyongesa. She is a clinical oncologist as well as the founder of the Texas Cancer Center here in Nairobi. I am Jen Romboy. Thank you for being with us today.
Kuona wewe una siri moyoni mwako.
You know very well, kila mtu ushikwa na mashida at some point.
Umemalizana na bill?
Shalipa. Kitambo.
I missed you, but nafurahi umekuwa sawa sasa. I missed you too.
Mimi sikuwa na pochi yako. Niwe nao kwa madhumuni gani?
Jiulize wewe. Kuna mambo yangu ya kibinafsi ambayo siwezi kutuma na mtu. Haswa huyo nyota wako.
The advent of the novel coronavirus pandemic globally has seen different measures put in place to mitigate the spread of the virus. With this, there has been an exponential increase in the use of face masks for protecting oneself against the virus. Among the people who have been using this mask, despite them being a barrier in their communication, is the deaf and hard of hearing. According to World Health Organization, WHO, hearing loss may result from genetic causes, complications at birth, certain infectious diseases, exposure to excessive noise, and aging. In Kenya, as stated by the Kenya National Population Census 2019, there are 918,270 deaf people in Kenya aged above 5 years. This is a significant number that cannot be ignored, and therefore we went out to meet and interact with this community to find out exactly how their lives have been impacted and how they're managing since the pandemic, as most of them rely on lip reading to communicate, yet they must wear masks. Abdon Nestor and his wife Elizabeth Agot live in Umoja Estate in Nairobi with their 3 hearing children, and through our sign language interpreter Stacey Dorcas, they talk to us about how challenging it has been since the onset of the COVID-19, especially in communicating with other people. We ask him if wearing of block masks affects communication among the deaf community, and this is what he had to say.
So it does affect, especially wearing of masks, because when you wear the mask, it blocks the mouth, and that's, if you're communicating with a hearing person, you are unable to see what they're saying because that person does not know sign language. So that's how it blocks communication.
And on learning in school for deaf children, this is what Abdon has to say.
So with learning, for deaf children, there's really good. For hearing children, it will be simple. Even if the teacher has a mask on, at least they can hear. But for deaf children, it's hard because they won't lip read. So if the teacher, for example, is writing on chalkboard, then how will the deaf children get to understand what the teacher is saying? If I told the teacher is showing the back. So that's why it's very important for the teacher when using sign language. You have to have face contact, eye contact, so that even if the teacher will miss a sign, but the teacher will show it through the lips, then the children will understand.
Our next stop is Kariobangi South Estate in Nairobi. Here we meet Maureen Wayego, a mother of 2, Anne Joki, who is 9 years old and is deaf. Her son Wilfred Kimani is 6 years old, but he can hear. She talks to us on some of the challenges a deaf child can go through and how the transparent masks have been like a savior to her daughter Anne.
Anita, nilijuanga nilinotisingi mtoto after 1 year to 2, akielekea 2 years hivi, nikiweka loudspeaker aski, nikiweka hata TV hivi mtoto amki, nikimuita itiki, nikateka action nikampeleka akiwa na 2 years sasa usi. Kwenda huko usi akapimwa hizo vitu zote akaonekana ni deaf. During this corona ni shida communicate na mtu huyu. Ama akiwa na hizo mask zingine ni shida tupu. Unapata mtoto anaangalianga lips venye pronounce venye unaongea ndio ajue venye ndio shikanishe. Akiwa hizo zingine itabidi ana struggle, but akiwa na hii unajua venye mta communicate na yeye na tuna go through. Hizi mask zinasaidia kuliko zile zingine. Na sijui tunaweza zitoa wapi. Na si watoto wengi wako na hizi mask. Na watu ni wengi sana wako deaf. Wako wengi, ukienda manyumbani utawapata ni wengi. Na sijui tunazipata wapi hizi mask. Hata mimi nikupewa nilipewa. Unapata ile shule sio wengi wako nazo, ni 2 peke yake. Na watu ni wengi, wako wengi kwa class. Wengine wako na zile zingine au wako na hizi. Unapata hata wangu wako baadhi yako na bahati ako na hii. Yeye hana shida ya kushinda akitoa communicate. Wale wengine unapata anatoa ndio. Unajua kitu ya first of all ujue mwingine na mwingine huwezi jua mwenye ako na corona. Unaona? Unapata anashika hapa anajiguza yeye mwenyewe. Unashindwa mtu anatoa wapi ugonjwa, lakini ni ile kushikashika. But akiwa na hii, akiwa ameweka, atashinda kitu ama kijiguza.
Our search for benefits of these transparent masks takes us to Homa Bay County, where we meet another parent whose daughter, a deaf child, has benefited, especially in school, from using the transparent masks. This is Triza Amambo, also a mother of 2 children, Blessing Waka, a 9-year-old girl who was born deaf, and her sister Precious Amunga, who is not deaf. Triza did not know Blessing was deaf until she was 6 months old. According to her, it has been a tough journey with her firstborn child, especially in communicating with other people during the COVID-19 pandemic that now forces everyone to wear face masks for protection. Her consolation came when a friend introduced her to the transparent masks.
Na nilinotice Blessing ni deaf akikuwa na miezi 6. Juu daktari ndienda kwa daktari akaniambia mtoto ni deaf na itabidi ukubali ni deaf. So akaniambia ningoje ikifika miaka 5 niende waniandikie barua ya kumpeleka shule. So nikaenda St. Anne's wakanipea barua nikampeleka shule. Kumpeleka shule nikaona at least ameanza kuimprove. Nimeona improvement sana kwa mtoi. Then hii wakati wa corona nimeona pia improvement, especially vile hizi mask zilikuja. Hizi mask vile zilikuja zimeleta improvement kwa Blessing juu communicate na watu hata shule na communicate na teacher. Pia teacher ameniambia kuna improvement sana. In fact, kwa hiyo shule wanahitaji hizi mask sana.
Triza further explains how the transparent masks have been improving her daughter's life day to day, especially in school, compared to the blocked masks.
Zile blocked mask, Blessing as in our toto deaf, hata ungewaongelesha wakajua ni nini unaongea juu. Most of them wana lip read. Kiwaambia kitu naambia sign language but ukilip read. Kama cap wanaangalia mdomo cap. So hii vile ilikuja at least iliwasaidia. Juu ukimwambia cap wewe pia umevaa hii na yeye amevaa hii inamsaidia sana.
It is clear that from some people of the deaf community that we spoke to, it is a double tragedy for them. The COVID-19 pandemic and lack of proper masks for their communication has been a big issue. Charles Okello, the founder and director at the Kenya Christian School for the Deaf at the heart of Umoja in Nairobi, saw the need amongst the deaf and hard of hearing community and came up with a solution. Special masks for the deaf. Masks that have plastic inlay around the mouth area that make communication through the lip reading easy.
Because you see, the deaf, for you to be able to communicate with them, they need to see the facial expression. If you are happy or you are unhappy, the deaf can say through facial expression. So, and they have the lip reading. So the blocked face mask was avoiding them from communication. So we realized that we need to come up with something which will enable deaf and the hard of hearing to communicate. So we come up with this clear face mask that enable them to express themselves, because not everybody speaks sign language, but if you happen to meet a deaf, whether you are skilled in sign language or not, they will be able to read your lips and get to understand what you are saying.
According to Charles, over 3,000 clear masks have been given to the deaf both in Nairobi and Homa Bay counties, which is the headquarters of the organization, for free. However, to audiologists, they are sold at a retail price of 200 shillings so that they can make some money to be able to make more masks and distribute them to other parts of the country, which remains a challenge.
Nikivai mask hivi, unajua venye nasema, na unaweza read my lips.
For special feature on the deaf, I am Sally Limo.
right, it is about 28 minutes to 10 a.m. It is about that time. We're also getting closer to the end of the program, but of course, we want to thank you for being with us this far. And we absolutely appreciate those of you who have been sharing your thoughts with us right here on this program, and we absolutely welcome that via our various communication platforms. The hashtag ever remains to be Good Morning Kenya. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1 across all the social media platforms, and we welcome all your thoughts, by the way. Comments, clarifications, or questions, we absolutely welcome them. That's why we bring these guests to you here for you to get to know them, and especially looking at this political season that we are in. We have so many aspirants who are just casting their die, wanting to vie for the various seats that are going to be available once this particular government's term is out. And we also want to hear from them. What plans do they have for the people? Because, you know, those that have gone ahead of them have made promises, grand ones. 10 years, 5 years later, they're still yet to be fulfilled. I don't know what you think about this, Victor, considering, you know, the particular discussion you had earlier on with woman rep aspirant for Machakos County, Annabelle.
Yes. One thing is for certain is that most women have now found their footing in politics, and the Constitution actually gives them that leeway for them to contest. And one thing is so certain, that politics is so hard, and most women who get into politics are aware of that fact. But when it comes to nomination, that's why most of the aspirants, when they come to the show, I ask them about the nomination, because that's one of the hardest processes in politics. So come during the nomination process, once you get that nomination certificate, then you're as good as elected. But then it's not for free. It's not for free. So you have to fight for that position, because we are in a democratic world, and you know, it's open for everyone so long as you have all the required qualifications to get that particular seat. So to all the aspirants out there, we wish you all the best, and yes, may the best team or the best person win. Yes, Doreen.
May the best team or the best person win. I mean, when you talk about these elections, and particularly on women aspirants of different political seats, and when you talk about the challenges or the obstacles, one thing always comes to my mind, and this actually is something that also that Tana River women rep that we had last week also mentioned, the question of marriage, family, having kids, and vying for political position. Also in 2013, the same again came up when Martha Karua was vying for a presidential seat. The same also happened in 2017 when Naisula was vying for a parliamentary seat. And I don't know what you guys think. I mean, why do we keep tying leadership and family? Well, some are saying that if someone is married and they can take care of a home, then it actually shows that they can manage a constituency or a ward or even the country at large. But you get to find that when it comes to men, no one asks of their spouses or their children. They only look at the manifesto and what this person is going to do for a different part of the country where they're vying for. But why is this so peculiar when it comes to women? What do you guys think about that? I mean, why are we tying family, marriage, kids to position of leadership?
That's a tricky question.
It is, but it's really a big issue.
But Baba did it the other day, and I think most people should follow suit. I think most of the aspirants should follow suit, if you ask me. Why most people do not parade their families, well, I may not tell. Perhaps family and politics. You remember what I asked analysts here yesterday? There's some red lines, and some people are just afraid, or perhaps even their families are afraid to be, you know, on the front line. So we leave them as that, and let whoever in politics do their own politics. But family members, sometimes they try and keep them away from the public eye.
Victor, I agree with you. As in family, it's family, and leadership is leadership. All I'm asking is, why is it that when it comes to women, there's that question of, are you married? Do you have kids? That you're vying for this seat. But when it comes to men, we don't ask that. We rarely do.
Patriarchal kind of society, yes. It's taking a toll on even women in politics. That's why most women still feel that they need to be given certain spaces for them, because when what we are talking about right now is actually the nomination process, and every politician is quite wary about the nomination process. It's tough, you know. It's the moment
especially
where,
with the new rules that are being made.
Exactly. Yeah. So the political parties bill, it's completely hard. So most of the politicians, if you ask me, they're aware of the fact that it's hard and it's tiresome, it's tedious. Most of the politicians, whenever I talk to them, they say it's not even financial, you know, pressure that they get. It's the emotional pressure they get. They don't even sleep sometimes. I have a friend of mine who woke up at 3 a.m. going to the village because she has commitments and meetings from 9. So you can imagine the kind of emotional pressure they go through. Sometimes not even the financial bit of it. But hey, politics is hard. Somebody said that politics started in heaven. I don't know how true that is.
Speaking of that pressure,
yeah.
And Vic, as you talk about that pressure, it reminds me of that question that you've constantly been asking, the difference between a politician and a leader.
Politician, leader? Yeah.
Leader, politician?
It's a politician. We have politicians and leaders.
All right, you know, but politics, again, we can never really predict how it goes. Leo iko hivi, kesho iko vingine. But we are here to just bring you the ups and downs as it continues to flow. Now, as we close the program, Dee?
Yes, I mean, we can't say it any further. We still have a lot in store for you tomorrow. So just as you joined us today, join us again tomorrow for another exciting edition of Good Morning Kenya. I'm Doreen Arangi Okelo, and on behalf of the entire team, we say good morning till tomorrow.
Victor?
Oh, yes. Just two feedback. Somebody's watching. This is Kiswahili. Wapi ile? Good morning studio, natazama TV nikiwa GGM unit Geita, Tanzania. Okay. And lastly, Johnny Badman, following you from Khwisero, Humusalaba, John Baraza wa Jerusalem.
Dorina najua huyo.
John Baraza wa Jerusalem Kinyozi, Humusalaba. That's
salamu.
Hapo tu.
Huyo ni mtu wa huko kwetu.
Ni mtu wa nyumbani. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. We always appreciate that you make time to be with us this and every morning from 6:30 through to 10 a.m. But as we bring this program to a close, just a few other stories that we are following up as, you know, in our consequent programming. We want to just follow up on the cover of the examination of County Women Representative for Murang'a, that is Honorable Sabina Chege, by the Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee, which is actually happening at the IEBC headquarters here at the Anniversary Towers. We have the IEBC Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee all present there. So we just want to leave you with this live broadcasting, which we are following up on, that will be coming up in just a bit. But for now, it is good morning. My name is Jen Boy. See you tomorrow.